Oh, hello.
Oh, it's almost like we do this every week.
I know, right? There's this sense of crushing regularity that's been created by an unprecedented global pandemic. It's really crazy. Who'd have thought? So, hello everyone. We're here to talk about 1984's Ghostbusters, which is a thing that you and I don't even recall discussing this film privately with you.
Not really, no.
In any kind of great, detail or anything. I think we've perhaps sort of bemoaned some of the nostalgia around it. I'm being very careful.
It's for stupid idiots. And man
We
babies.
hate them all.
No. I mean, it's not that. It's just that I loved when I was a kid, because it came out the year I was born. So I was kind of like, it was the cartoon I was all about. That was my touch point with it as a kid. So I was obsessed with all that. I wasn't allowed to watch the film because I think my mum thought I would turn into a ghost or something.
That doesn't happen till you die, Duncan's mum.
No, yeah, right. Yeah, I know. Mary Whitehouse was there. So yeah, and so I didn't. I just didn't really have much of any kind of interaction with it. I think I watched it much later in life and was just kind of a bit. Yeah, it's fine. It's a fine movie. It's a perfectly good movie, but it's just not.
It's a fine movie. So you don't have the nostalgia for it.
Not really, no.
I mean, I do really love this movie. I haven't watched it in a while. I get a bit annoyed with the Ghostbusters fans are really, really, really keen into it, and I think it's quite a cool fandom actually, and they are quite, they know all the stuff and everything, and I worry about talking about it because I'm not quite up to speed as those, the guys like Vote Saxon is a huge Ghostbusters fan, and he did like a video of locations in New York and stuff.
Yes.
It was the same for me because I was born whilst this was being filmed. So they from the end of, I think it was like winter or autumn '83 to kind of winter '84 they were filming it. So fairly long kind of shoot, and I can't speak for your school, but for me, Ghostbusters was the huge thing because of the cartoon and things, and then shortly before Ninja Turtles became the next dominant thing that children must love.
Yes, it's weird to think of it in those terms, but I think you're right. I think it went in that order, definitely. Yeah.
So I mean, I was able to watch the film fairly young, so I do have a bit of nostalgia for it and stuff. And the second movie was kind of a bit more, because the second movie happened whilst the cartoon was a going concern, and it's a bit more pitched towards that, and a lot of people kind of don't really like it. Some people really hate it. I really like Ghostbusters too.
I like it. Yeah, I mean, I think I've seen it more, to be honest, than this.
Yeah.
Which is, because I bought it in like one of those like GameStop type places, and for like tuppence, it was pre-owned or whatever, and I was like, I'll take a punt on it, so I watched it.
So you didn't see it till you had your own agency and buying power as an adult?
Oh yeah, got you.
Fuck. Okay.
And then and I think I'd seen bits of the first one on and off as a kid, but I didn't. It wasn't until I was, at least late teens, early 20s that I actually that was two I bought, and then so that's the one I owned, and then I just wasn't into it, man.
I think so I can't exactly say neophyte, but you're kind of not as, because like I say, Ghostbusters fans fucking love Ghostbusters. It doesn't seem to be much compromise, or even like either you've seen it a couple of times or you built your own full-size Ecto-1 out of egg boxes and managed to put an engine in it and it works. You know what I mean? There's this real like I know, because they're a bit like the what are they called? Is it the 501st Legion, like the stormtrooper people for Star Wars? They have like
that's right.
Big okay, so there's I think they're called the 501st Legion. It's a thing in Star Wars fandom where they're a legion of cosplayers that do Imperial stuff, so like stormtroopers and things. And I think the Ghostbusters fandom is organised along similar lines in that they have their own Ghostbuster franchises, and because you see them and
I like James Bond. No,
caught you a good time then, if we mate. It's just wear a tuxedo. It's just have a tuxedo and be handsome. It's easy. Well, for the less aesthetic people in the world, such as myself, we can put on a boiler suit and a backpack, and we're kind of schlubby blue collar superheroes. So what this is, right? It's like a kind of blue collar superhero movie, which is, they're not really superheroes, but you know what I mean. It kind of
totally. I think it has a lot to say, and I do think it's a very well put together film, and my apparent ambivalence towards it is not is no denigration of the film itself, because I do think it's a very good film, and a very successful film, and it's just not something I reach for. It just It just isn't. But that doesn't make it any worse, you know.
I don't tend to anymore, and I think it's perhaps I overdid it when I was younger. I will say, what kind of, I hate to say this, and please don't take this the wrong way, people at home. What kind of irritates me about it is it's the poster boy for sort of lazy nostalgia. Like when you see all those like cheap T-shirts in Asda and Primark and stuff that just got Ghostbusters logo slapped on them, and it's just sort of like that Justin Lee Collins top 10 best I love the 80s fodder. It's like, you remember Ghostbusters? Well, yeah, shut up.
I mean, yeah, as is Die Hard, and
yes,
it's not just Ghostbusters, you know,
RoboCop, Terminator, these things also, you know, yeah,
but it's in that wheelhouse, isn't it? It's definitely in that sort of the 80s, and it's just like I don't know what it is about the freaking 80s, man. Like honestly, like I don't really remember the 80s, but you know. I really don't. It wasn't the time of great. I guess it. Well, yeah, no, I don't get it.
We've talked about this before, like in an episode. It's kind of like, yeah, okay, sure, Dealey Boppers and fucking Flight of the Navigator, but also like a massive recession and the Lockerbie bombing. Like, let's not. But it's social unrest, like strikes.
10 years.
Yeah,
like any other 10 years, you know. It's like, it's I mean, yeah, I don't get it, and I think people have tried to sort of make the 90s a thing now, and it's like it's not sticking. Young
people dress like we did in 1994, and they're kind of like, oh, you losers, and you dress like this. It's like, you're wearing our old shit. Like, you know, and also everyone who's 10 now is going to be ripping the shit out of you in 10 years when you can't afford a house and drink a whole bottle of wine yourself on a Thursday night. You know what I mean? Like, this goes around, my friend. You're not a fucking Highlander. Hey, that's my shorthand for an immortal, but I realise on this channel it's quite loaded to bring up Highlanders. But anyway, so 99 people in the room, just like the song 99 Red Balloons by Nano, which is from the 80s. Do you remember the 80s, Duncan? Oh, mullets.
I don't.
No, do you not? You don't, because you were 6 when it ended.
6 when it
As
ended.
was I. I love all those 80s kids that, like, well, you were born in 1987, you were born in 1988. I was born in 1983. I was like 7 when the 80s ended. It's like, I was an 80s kid. It's like, yeah, I was a 90s kid, really. And that sucked for its own reasons. Just to be perfectly clear.
The Spice Girls, fucking Leonardo DiCaprio,
Biker Grove, all the worst things. Yeah. Okay, fine, Kosovo, but mostly Biker Grove. But hello everyone. I'll just do a quick hello to people, shall I? I'll do the
please do.
If you want to be in my type anything in the chat and then you'll pop up on the list and I'll say your name out quickly. That's because it's just this strange carousel of not Google and its carousel of features that don't work. But there we go. Oh, look at that. That's a nice, lovely list. I can see Andrew K, Ash CGC, Brian Shields, Captain Meets Adventures, Doug Wanacott, Eric Grandin, Floyd75, Dylan, Gamer Guys Reviews, I Am Snorlax, Joe Zilla, Kevin J, James, Marco Marin, Michael Vasquez, Mike Garside, Mr. HEC 381991, Neil Hart, Omar Zambo, Pat Danielson, Phil Robb, Positron Glider, Old Magix is here, Roy Lake, Sam Duxbury, Sam Montgomery, Simon Harding, Simon Pope, Steve Allen, TM2YC, Twisted Koala, Vote Saxon07 here for the sweet Ghostbusters action, Charlie Wide for sound, Carl Goddard just squeaking in there as he does every week, David Gunn, I see Dan Lyles, Colin McLean, I hope I caught you all, Joe Zilla, maybe you got 2, Kevin J. James, Leonard Leone Films, Marco Marin, Michael Small, I saw Annalise earlier as well, Neil Hart, Omar, of course, also Sump, Petter Danielson, I think that's everybody.
Very good.
Ross Sanders. Sorry. Yes.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Are you done?
David Gunn. It's people in the chat. I've made a mistake of saying everyone to say something because I wasn't quick enough. Carry on. Yes. Are you done? Yeah, I am.
I was just looking in the paid pal. My dad sent us £10 as always. Thank you, Dad. Let's just have a good one. Andrew Cappett's £10. Thank you very much, Andrew. Annalise sent us five pence.
Thank you.
It says, evening, guys. Moving sucks. But thanks to the magic of mobile hotspots, we're looking forward to our first stream in the new place and celebratory wine. Thank you for the regular entertainment. You're very welcome. And thank you for tuning in your new place in Logan Howick. Logan Howick. Yep. Nailed it. Sent us £20. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Logan.
Incredibly generous. Thank you
very, very generous. I saw the paid pal earlier and I missed. We got one on Saturday night which I missed, which I would like to rectify.
Nathan McGuire?
No. there's a £5 one. I'm trying to find it.
Oh, AJ Gale.
AJ Gale, whose name I assume is in reference to the game Far Cry 4, or maybe he's really called AJ Gale. Thanks very much. Sent it 5 on a Saturday night, and I didn't see it in the paid pal. I don't know, Duncan. I know you sort of were in the chat, but Mark and I got very, very drunk.
I did dip in when we were watching Point Break, and frankly, that was much more important.
Yeah, that's fair enough. It's totally
so
fine.
I sodded off, and I realised it was Saturday night. Yeah, do you want me to read AJ's message?
Yeah, would you? Yeah, he did. Yeah. So if you're watching AJ, this is for you.
It says, fun fact, although it's about zombies, so... Zack Snyder's...
Such a cunt.
Zack Snyder's Dawn of the Dead remake was originally set in November, and every character had a mustache. In post, they changed when the film was set and digitally removed everyone's facial hair at a cost of $6 billion.
That's a true fact, yeah. That's true fact. That's true IMDb trivia there from AJ Gale. Thank you very much, AJ.
Thank you.
So we're going to cue the movie for about the next 5 minutes. So just be ready for 7:15 for your copy of the Ghostbusters. I remember, so as a child, this made me very much a fan of Bill Murray, and Bill Murray was just my idol for a little bit because it's just like he was the funniest man in the whole world. But because I was a child, Peter Venkman was the funniest man in the whole world. Because when I watched the cartoon, Egon was my favourite because I liked the sciencey guy. He was always my fave. And then when I watched the movies, I was like, no, the douchebag from the cartoon's actually really cool in the TV show, and I think I love him. So then all things Murray were it for me. And also, like, I love, this. I think this segment's part of watching all those kind of 80s SNL kind of adjacent things. So things with that, like the Great Outdoors or the Lampoons movies, or whatever the things, anything with these guys in usually. Something like, and then go back and watch like Stripes or Meatballs or Caddyshack and all that sort of lark. I don't know if you were ever into any of that kind of stuff.
No.
No, that's a very concise answer. I can't answer.
Sorry.
Who am I to argue with that? No. I've had my fun, and that's all that matters.
That was all sort of very American stuff, wasn't it? The Caddyshack
God,
stuff.
yeah, hugely.
Yeah. National Lampoon.
And they're not think that these things, because I think like. Definitely watch Ghostbusters with my family, watch Ghostbusters 2 with my family, because that was, I think, some kids I knew got to go see it in the cinema, but I didn't for whatever reason, so it was this mad rush to get it on video. Then I think it was a thing when it came out on video, or the videos were always rented, so we had to fucking wait for a spot when my dad could take us to Blockbuster, Ritz video, this is pre-Blockbuster days, to get a copy and shit like that. Actually, I remember Peter McNichol. You remember Peter McNichol's when he uses his sort of laser vision to look through the wall in that one scene. He uses like his kind of eye beams in Ghostbusters 2.
Vaguely, yes.
That specifically gave me nightmares for some reason. So I remember Dad. If you're there, I remember Dad having a computer game based on it that took forever to load because it was like on an old whatever. Right.
And I think once it loaded and started up, there was a sudden like image of Vigo in his eyes going like flashing, and it freaked me the fuck out because I was like, whatever I was, 5 or something at the time, and I remember that. I remember being like horribly scarred by this computer game, and so I do remember that to do this. So for a long time, I think I didn't want to watch that film because I just thought it would be the most horrendous thing ever.
Right. It's quite scary. I think to a child, it's quite scary, and Vigo is quite scary.
And in real life too.
Yes, and he's one of the many kind of diehard adjacent people in Ghostbusters because I think Reginald Val Johnson plays a cop in this shared universe. Is it? Oh fuck it, Richard Atherton. I get it wrong. The guy who plays douchebag reporter in Die Hard. Yeah. He's in it, and then Richard Edlund was effects cinematographer on this, and he did effects cinematography for Die Hard. So there's weird Die Hard link-ups here. And music by the great Elmer Bernstein. Like, it's one of the great. This has a really wonderful suite of music. This film, like, just as a standalone of kind of classical style film music. It's really, really fucking good. Cinematography by Laszlo Kovacs, who's one of the American New Wave guys. So, like, he did Easy Rider, for example, 5 Easy Pieces and stuff like that. So it's got this really mad pedigree. But it's also kind of demarcating the kind of crazy experimental stuff of the 70s, and then it's like, okay, well, let's all go back to big flashy blockbusters now. Though everybody thought this was going to fail because it's fucking weird. It's a really fucking weird movie, and we're definitely going to talk about the bit where the man gets a blowjob from a ghost. It's just like, okay, like as a kid I was just like, oh yeah, the lady's taking his trousers off, and then it's one of those like adult things which just go like I tell you what it's like those women were in the nip. You know, I had my Father Deagle moment. I think I was probably just sat on a bus one day and I was like, he's getting sucked off by that ghost, and then go back and watch it as an adult and just be like, fuck yeah, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that sort of click, aren't there, when you're a kid, like, or when you're an adult, that as a kid just been in, like, stored in your brain and hadn't been sort of brought to the surface to be addressed. And there's bad, you know, childhood trauma is a big thing, but you know, there's always things that crop up even now that I'm like, until now that was a truth that I held dear, and I'm like, now that I'm examining it, I'm like, that's bollocks.
Doing this for the years we've been doing it together has made me, like, things I just knew I'm just completely wrong about. I found out it's just stuff like information I had about a film or a thing, not just you know, discovering filthy things in films, but, you know, just stuff, someone did this or this was done by that, and it's like, no, it's completely not true, and I don't know where I got that, like how that worm got into my brain, but which now means I'm very much about checking my facts before I embark upon anything, which is a good thing, really.
Yes.
So did you want to do the old counting of into the film, as I've elegantly called it?
Do the old have a banana,
well, I think I might, Duncan. Thank you very much. I'm holding a banana, you see. Oh.
Very good.
It's prop comedy. Duncan and I spend a lot of time working on these great prop comedy gags.
And money.
Yes, and money. Or I left that on my desk earlier and didn't eat it because it's fruit. It just happened to be there. Because I am in a lot of ways a child. Ryan Ricardo's here and he's thrown up a fist. Hello, mate. How you doing? Good to see you.
Just can't stand potassium. Hey, Ryan. What's up, buddy? Omar, by the way, Omar said he's getting his jab tomorrow, so...
Yes.
Good luck, Omar.
Yeah, good luck, Omar. It's nice to see the jabs going out to where they're needed, which is good. Because my folks have had theirs now as well, and I think it means...
My dad.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, cool. Meaning we will get ours somewhere in mid 2028.
Probably.
Because, you know...
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Tell me when.
There's something strange in your neighbourhood. Who are you going to call? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ghostbusters. Why isn't that starting? For fuck's sake. Right,
okay,
come on.
okay.
Sorry.
Spin back.
For some reason, I tapped on it and it zoomed in and then zoomed out. It's all right. Just go. It's fine. I really don't understand that. Am I going to have to watch this in zoomed-in vision now? Come on. Really?
Right.
Okay. I'm bad enough today. Right.
I can tell. Bless you.
Sorry. It's hard work.
You know, you're getting a toddler onto mush. I don't really want to say hard food because it is mush. You got to give babies mush. You can't like.
Well, some of it's hard. Yeah, no, we are giving them textures.
Well, there's originals fired out of a BB gun.
Yeah. Ghostbusters.
Ghostbusters. Get it in, unhinge your jaw.
No, but yeah. Plus, I got up at the crack of dawn this morning to have a conference call with someone who didn't show up, and I've got another one tomorrow morning, bright and early at 5 o'clock. So that's going to be fun.
That's a deeply frustrating thing. Yeah, that sounds. You did mention that to me this morning. I didn't reply to your text. I'm sorry, because I'm a bag of shite. Yeah. Yeah. So if you, I did see Vote Sacks in the chat. So he did a locations vid for this. I know he had fucking copyright goblin issues. So I hope it's still up, Steve. I don't know if you had to edit it or something. But yeah, you can go check out Steve's video, which is entertaining and informative with the big man himself.
Unlike us.
Anything we've ever done. Hey. This is by the way, this is a really great cold open because the remake, I don't like the remake, and I'm not interested in any of the fucking political bullshit that YouTube channels want to say. It's just fucking not funny. It's just got a really unfunny script, but it tries to do the same thing with the cold open, but it's so drawn out. It's like this really drawn out wordy thing, whereas this, I'm pretty certain, is dialogue free, right? Or just she might have like a line. It's just really lovely.
Yeah, no, I don't think she said anything.
Right, because it's just like the ghost shushes her, I think. All that, the practical stuff with all the index cards flying out, that's really cool.
Yeah.
It's really great. And I think it takes its cues from the kind of the sort of Edwardian spiritualist movement. Seems to be a lot of its references. It's not something I'm massively au fait with, but like the concept of ectoplasm, for example, was something those guys were massively into. Because it became a big thing around then, and a lot of the references Aykroyd, because Aykroyd's really into this shit, by the way. I don't know if you know that. That's where this all comes from.
Yeah.
Like, with his vodka and stuff.
I did know that.
Yeah. Right. Okay. So he's actually really into all this stuff. He is. Quick sidebar. He is insane, isn't he? Like, I love him, but he's definitely mental. He's one of the maddest.
He's sort of I think he's insane in a quite wholesome way, if that's at all possible. Like, I don't think he's not hurting anyone with it, but he is.
Yeah. Oh yeah, insane. Absolutely. Yeah, he's not like. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. He believes what he believes, and that's it. It's just like, I know, for example. So in the Blues, are you fan of the Blues Brothers or not? You're not bothered? Or...
Yeah. No. I love the Blues Brothers. That's
great movie. So have you ever watched the deleted materials from that?
Yes, some I think I've seen. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you remember the thing about the car being charged by a substation? It's because obviously the Bluesmobile carries out all these insane feats, right? Like, it's this ridiculous other stuff, and it's not in the movie because there's absolutely no reason to justify that whatsoever. But they did write. Aykroyd had this idea that because it was parked under a substation, it got charged with electricity. It gave it magical powers, and it's just like, yeah. But also no. In fact, mostly no. Let's just not. Like, this film's already quite long, and it is a great.
It's not and say we did.
Yeah. Yes, it's not and say we did. if we kind of film it just to keep Dan happy, then that's fine, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, that's one of those, like, that's one of those things where you kind of go. It's similar with. There's other things. What other movies are there where there's something that has such a clear. Apparent clear grasp on what it is. Like, the Blues Brothers has a very clear grasp on, like, it understands that because it's essentially a musical, nothing has to make sense. So the fact that they're like Carrie Fisher fires a rocket launcher at the whole building, takes them out, and they just dust themselves off and walk away.
Yeah.
And it's like that. It's all that stuff. There's loads of shit that just doesn't make sense. Like, for some reason they're in different outfits at one point, and there's no rhyme or reason. Like, it's just such a fantastic, and that's all part of its charm. And you get it. Like, do you know what I mean? It's like, it clearly feels so deliberate, because when you go into it, you go like, well, I get all this. I immediately get the sense of humour you've got, and it's like, to then have like, we need to explain why he charged his car. And it's like, right? Like, how is that? You know what I mean?
It's the same embodiment thing with, like, of the Val Verde, right? Because it's absolutely just like, okay. I mean, no. It's just like, it doesn't add anything. It's just like, no. Absolutely.
It's the same thing with like Terminator had loads of stuff like that. And I don't even know. I don't think a lot of it was filmed, but it's like, can you imagine, like, being James Cameron? Because Schwarzenegger tells that like, there's so much conflicting stuff about it, because he's like, Arnold came in and he really understood, the role. I could tell he really understood the role of the Terminator, and I realized that he should play the Terminator. And then you hear Arnold Schwarzenegger again, like, but they thought at one point it'd be very funny if the Terminator drinks a little bit of alcohol, gets drunk, and it's like, oh my god! Like, how did this ever happen? Like, how did this work? Like, who had a handle on any of this shit? It's like, you know what I mean? Like, what? It's like all the stories about the Mario Puzo script for Superman.
Yeah, because like Kojak was supposed to walk out and stuff like that. It's just like, what the fuck? Like, it's certain things. Certain things are the other. Like, this is, I think, is the other side of the threshold I'm about to describe, and so is Terminator. But there's a certain threshold where you sort of go, I think this might be good by accident. You know what I mean? So you didn't do this on purpose. Did you want to read? There's a super chat by Kevin J. James. I don't know if did you want to read that one?
Kevin J. James. Wonderful movie. Easily my favorite popcorn film. I love how ultimately empowering it is for the imagination, firmly placing science over superstition. That's what Kevin J. James sounds like, because he owes $5. So I assume that's I think if you give a super chat Val Verde, you expect a Duncan voice. I think that's all part of the fun. Yeah, I've gone past the wall of like ambivalence and grump, and now being silly.
That's it. He's being silly. That's what the people want.
Kevin J. James over here.
That's a very good encapsulation, Kevin, of this film, and it is ultimately it is science versus God. It's kind of like the anti-Lovecraft thing. So a bunch of scientists beat up God, but at the same time, it's not really about science over superstition, because the ghosts are real, and there is a kind of mystical realm. So it's kind of, it's both things really. I saw a good comment from Colin McLean, which is relatable to anyone who's worked in roles that feature a lot of telephony. Working overnight on the weekend, there's no supervisor around, so I answer the calls that come through, and I once answered Ghostbusters and got written up for it. The best way to answer is do the full Janine and go Ghostbusters. What do you want? It's the full Janine Melnitz. But it's a really wonderfully cast film. I think as a foursome, they're brilliant. And then all the extras like Janine, fucking Sigourney Weaver, Rick Moranis, all the it's just such a strong cast for a movie.
Yeah, it's just kind of nuts that Sigourney Weaver plays the love interest in this, and it's like any other time, any other movie, you'd be like starring Sigourney Weaver, but like in this, because you've got like all those other guys, and it's just it is one of those casts where like a year later you'd never get all those people to do this. So, as I've said that, I think about other things like The Big Lebowski, the amount of people who turn up in that now, and you're like, holy shit! Like if you were to try and cast that film with those people now, you wouldn't.
Yeah, no, there's no chance in hell.
Afford it.
There's no chance in hell.
Some are dead.
Yeah, well, in that case, definitely no chance in hell.
Unless they're in hell and available.
Yeah. Just call up hell 666. It's the opposite of 999. Speak to the devil. Annie Potts as Janine. She's so good. And it's such a small. Of course, they give her more to do in the second one, but they have to give her red hair so she looks like the cartoon one, for example.
Yeah.
Which is like, well, why doesn't Ivan Reitman have like a bleach blonde ice cream quiff then for the second one?
I never got that. Why has he got like that? That's another one of those you never question it as a child. It's like, why does he have that hair? Where like in the film he doesn't have anything like it.
Nothing at all. Yeah,
they don't look anything.
That was going from the cartoon. I actually remember. I'll tell you what. Before I saw the film, I was a big fan of Ralph's Cartoon Club, which was hosted by the disgraced entertainer Ralph Harris, as most entertainers are now from the 80s. But did you ever watch Ralph's Cartoon Club? And they do like how to draw cartoons and have all the cartoon people come on and stuff. Fucking love Ralph's Cartoon Club. Yeah. Sad, awful shit that man did. We won't talk about that. But I remember they were kind of like, oh yeah, we've got like I think it was Ivan Reitman. It's like next week we're going to speak to the real Egon. And I expected a dude with like a big blonde dude to come on. And then I guess it was Ivan Reitman. I was just, as a child, just like, what the fuck is this? What the fuck is this?
Oh, I'm Ivan Reitman. It's like, no, you're not.
No, you're not.
Where's your big whippy quiff? It's like, I know, that's the thing. I'm often like, I wonder if like, because if I do something that then comes out and gets a half decent release and there's where did I try and look like I did when I made it? Because now I don't,
right.
Or any of that sort of stuff. But it's like, people sort of expect, it's like Jim Carrey's walk around with Ace Ventura hair all the time.
Yes. Which is the brown version of cartoon Egon's hair.
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh, sorry, I keep saying Ivan Reitman. I mean Harold Ramis. Sorry. I'll tell you why that is. Yeah. I was looking at Ramis's directing credits earlier because he directed quite a bit. Sorry, I do mean.
Yeah. Harold Ramis.
Poor old Harold Ramis, bless him. So yeah, I probably, if Ivan Reitman did turn up, I would be quite confused because as a child I knew what all directors looked like. I did not know that at all. But the prop, the EPK meter prop is used in They Live.
Oh really?
When they go to the basement of the can I call it a basement? When they go to the kind of dimensional portal.
No, because I haven't seen that film. I've told you this a million times.
Oh fuck! I just assume you have because you should have. You should have. I always forget you haven't seen that. That blows my mind. Anyway,
I intended to, but I just never got around to it. And then
now it's been spoiled that there's a Ghostbusters prop in it, so you don't.
Well, now there's no point. Yeah.
There's no point. Yeah. Did you ever see Evolution? Ivan Reitman's kind of attempt to capture this again in the 90s.
No, bits of it. Yeah, David Duchovny. Those guys. No, I mean I saw bits of it. Yeah, I was when it was on TV and stuff. But yeah,
it's not very good. It's an attempt to capture the same thing, and it's just not. And it's mostly an advert for fucking Head and Shoulders shampoo, so it's a bit like fair. And they have to kill the monster with Head and Shoulders shampoo and stuff, and it gets a bit like I don't mind a bit of product placement, but when it's like a plot point, and it's not just that, it's just a bit sort of empty as a movie, which is a shame because Duchovny in a kind of Ghostbusters-esque thing.
Yeah, that would work. I mean, I think he definitely Duchovny's got the comedy chops. Like he is a brilliant comedic actor.
He's really funny in the X-Files. Like when Mulder needs to be wry, he's wry as fuck. It's brilliant. Like he's so good.
You still haven't watched Californication, have you? But you got to check it.
No, I watched all of it yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't do that.
Did you think of episode 3 from season 2?
Oh, which one's that? I have you now. No, I have not watched any of that. That's the best and most honest way to do it. Yeah, I all this. There is a lot of I do actually think, in terms of the way this is shot, it has a lot more of a documentary feel than, for example, the second one and a lot of other films at the time. Don't get me wrong, like, it's in fucking, I think, 2:3:5:1, the aspect ratio doesn't add up and stuff, and it's very cinematic, but they do these really, because there's a guy walks past in this scene who just looks straight at the camera over Egon's shoulder, for example. But there's great effort to have these kind of big shots with all this stuff going on in the background and like long takes and stuff as well. You know, it's not a fucking cinema verite thing. I'm not pulling anyone's dick here, but it's got that kind of feel to it, and it kind of feels like if you ever watch this kind of on Blu-ray, for example, like properly kind of scaled up, it's one of those whatever film stock they use, it's a very grainy movie. It's got a lot of grain, and you can really kind of see that.
Yeah, you can see. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I mean, it's one of those sort of really, even though, because it became such a commercial thing, that was my touch point with it as a kid. It was like this massive commercial juggernaut. To sort of see the original concept, and I think that's why, like, whenever I did see it or bits of it as a kid, I was like, I don't get this. I don't find this particularly cool, you know. And it has an earnest sense to it, but it has a wry sort of sense of humor about itself, or it, you know, has its tongue in its cheek. You know, I think you can't recapture. It's like, to then the idea of then, like, we're going to set this in a modern age and give it to frickin' Paul Feig. And insist that he put his brand all over it. It's like, you know, forget, like you say, all the politics of it, which I don't think actually were made a big deal of during the film's release and everything, and not just by people online, but by the people who made it. But that wasn't in the film. I didn't really see that in the film. What I saw in the film was a complete misunderstanding of what it was. It was sort of like, we want you to love this because nostalgia, but we also want, like, fans of Paul Feig to love this. And I don't think either did. I don't think it landed on either account. And it's like, because I don't think they just weren't telling a human story. Like you say, this has so much more subtext. It's a blue collar hero story. Again, like most things, if the characters are real and there's a human condition at the heart of it, you'll bring people along for the journey, and the surroundings can be as fantastical as you want. But if it's flimsy and there isn't really anything to what you're doing, and especially that film, the jokes are just awful and they keep going, and it's like,
yeah, oh my god, like the Cat really Stevens thing, for example.
Yeah, it's like someone getting drunk at a party and just telling these awful jokes, and you know, if you sort of bring them up on it, they'll fucking have your head off. But so you just sit there and go, it was just embarrassing, you know, really. And I you know, and it's not. It's got nothing to do with the sort of politics of it. It just was a bad film, and because it didn't understand what it was. I think it thought it could lean into various things.
It was highly undisciplined, whereas this feels really crafted with its humour. That feels like, okay, we're all really. It's something I really hate, and it's something that a lot of kind of comedy movies did about 10 years ago, which puts fucking Ghostbusters 2016 so behind the thing. But it was all like, you'd get those movies that were like, you get a 2.5 hour movie by Judd Apatow, and it'd be like, oh yeah, well actually there's a 5 hour cut because we improvised it all, and since we're all famous comedians, we think everything we say is really funny, and it's not, and it just drags on and on and on, and that felt like that in condensed form.
Because I don't think Paul Feig is an ill-disciplined filmmaker. Like, you look at a lot of his other stuff. Like, I think Spy is brilliant.
Spy is fucking brilliant. Jason Statham in Spy is a fucking revelation.
He's great, yeah. But it's the same sort of, you know, like Melissa McCarthy, and that's really funny. She's really funny in loads of stuff. And that is, as a comedy, it does have elements of the kind of, we left the camera rolling and people improvise, but it's not ill-disciplined. And that's, I suppose, what I'm, you know, I don't think, again, I just don't think it was sort of, in a weird way, it wasn't anyone's fault. It was just bad. It was just a bad amalgamation of things, you know.
We just had a super chat from Kevin J. James who says, having worked on the Feig movie and met the guy, he was genuinely nice, but clearly too hands off and non-technical a director for the project. So there you go. That's an insider perspective.
There you go.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Like, we were waffling on. But
I thought the ghost-busting elements of it were fine.
Yeah, like there's really cool effects, and and the wild and stuff I was fine with. It's just the whole kind of standing around doing a 6-minute riff on how cabbage sounds like Charles Babbage or whatever and loads of like, oh, am I? Because are you gonna? No, I wasn't gonna, but I thought you were gonna. Like that for 4 minutes. It's not funny. Like it's just that kind of, and it's
the
not
wonton soup callback that keeps happening.
God,
it's just like,
a callback to a thing that is just not very good. And it's because I don't think anybody like went into that wanting to make a bad movie.
Oh God, no,
I mean? Like
no,
it just.
no.
Yeah, but I like Spy. I fucking thought was awesome. I watched it on a flight, so it was kind of a slightly edited version, but it was fucking cool, man. It was funny as well. Bit of Peter Serafinowicz in there as well, underused in my eyes, but
hello, naked lady. He's just like wakes up and goes breasts.
Again, Statham, like, where did you get that suit? I made it.
She goes, where did you get that suit? I fucking made it. Jumps on a boat and sails off into the sunset. He's like, he does know that's a lake, right? It's just like.
This is the difference between me watching the airline version on a plane. I didn't get the line read.
Yeah, he goes, I fucking made it. Yeah, and didn't I?
He's really defensive. That's what.
Yeah, he keeps putting it, like, he's so arrogant, but he keeps putting his foot in everything. But yet he's saved somehow and doesn't realise. He's one of those infuriating people who sort of believes his own hype. But like, it has you can't show him evidence to the contrary because it keeps sort of coming right. It's really, I mean, the spy genre obviously is highly spoofed by lots of things. It's hard to be original and make it work. But I think that one really did. I mean, there's elements of it that are really stupid, that don't land as well. But I just think as a thing, it's worth checking out. And that sort of Feig, I think, at his best.
I think slapping it on a franchise like that, wasn't it? Just let him do what he's going to do. You know what I mean? And
he's done, like, I've watched interviews with him and stuff like that, and I think he's a cool guy. Like, he took people around his house, and he's well into his suits and his, he's sort of he's quite the dapper gent. He does all that stuff, like he had GQ over or whatever. And I like him as a person. I just think he's not, Well, I didn't like Ghostbusters.
Yeah, because he was an actor first, wasn't he, or a comedian or something? He was in front of camera, I think, before. Stay Puft Marshmallows. See, that's a lovely subtle bit of visual storytelling. Like there's a marshmallow pack.
Right.
Just there. Also, we did sort of pass over Rick Moranis. There's a lot of things actually in this. So Rick Moranis, that was originally intended for John Candy, but didn't quite go the right way. And also, Winston was meant for Eddie Murphy initially. I think Venkman was going to be Belushi before Belushi passed away. And then the joke is that, like, Dan Aykroyd's joke is that Slimer is Belushi, which is kind of like, that's the kind of thing you can say about your best mate when they're dead. So, kind of, so that's kind of cool. Oh, my friend Nick used to do this thing where whenever I opened the fridge, he would go zoo behind me, which always got a laugh out of me. That worked for me every time. Which was very good. So there you go. Sigourney doing great. I think the problem is, like, when Bill Murray's around, everybody's the straight man. And good old Sigourney's doing good kind of straight person stuff in this.
There's another blowjob joke there, isn't it, with Ramis getting up from under the desk.
Right.
It's a sort of blowjob joke.
It's what I like about this. It has that kind of edge to it because it is sort of filthy, It's a little bit dirty and stuff, a little bit rude, and like they smoke cigarettes and scratch their asses and whatever, and it kind of it all feels very.
Yeah, and it is. You're right. It is one of those weird things where you just think, if I came up with something like this now, there's no way anyone would give me money to make it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, I know that because people weren't mad about it at the time. I think it was like 30-odd million, which is quite a lot for then, and they kind of felt they were banking on the names, but nobody thought it was going to do well. And it became a sort of phenomenon, and it's one of these things of like, oh, well, let's make it. This is a thing, like, so they made a cartoon out of like a slightly rude grown-up film, and I think this is, there you go, it's kind of the slightly rude, slightly grown-up thing, and they made a cartoon out of it, but it's not like people are running around saying fuck and getting their heads cut off. But like when they made a Rambo cartoon, it's like, okay, right, and the Chuck Norris cartoon, it's like, okay, Ghostbusters just about squeaks through that, I think, without it being too weird. And hey, it was a very very successful cartoon, like big global fucking smash. We all had the toys and stuff, right? Like,
yeah.
I think I was going to, because we're making a Paul Feig movie. So no, go on.
Yeah. No, I was just going to say how much I like Sigourney Weaver. I think she's either really probably up there as one of my favorite actresses. Like she's, and I think as well, just like she's very, I think she's navigated the kind of studio system quite well. You know, I think she was quite savvy, and she always struck me as sort of, someone who really knows her own mind and stuff, which is really cool. But I just think she's a really good actress. Like I enjoy watching her and stuff. I wish she did more now, because she doesn't seem to.
Yeah, well, I wonder if, because on one hand, I suppose she doesn't have to, which must be nice. But she was in Avatar. That's it's great that she was in Avatar. I do not think Avatar was great. Yeah, 12 years ago. That's. I was saying this. I did a podcast with Tim Rooney at the weekend, or a couple of days ago. I can't remember. My lives are blowing together. Looking at kind of Weaver and Cameron, it's Aliens and Avatar, and that's it. And it feels like that should be a bigger collaboration. But then James Cameron only makes one film every 40 years when the moon is in retrogrades during a fucking, whatever. And then it's the most successful film ever made.
Yeah. Yeah. Where are you up to, by the way? Because I don't know if we're in sync.
It's fine. We're just going to go with it. What are you watching?
All right. I'm watching Bill Murray walk around her apartment.
Oh, yeah, sure. I'm a little bit before that, but it's fine. I think we just drifted. It's fine. Someone at home's going to be caught up with one of us. In the scene before, he's wearing like a green and purple Lex Luthor patterned plaid shirt. He looks like the Joker or Luthor or something.
I do like the shot when she comes in and goes to the desk, and you just see him jump up behind the behind the filing cabinet. It's like, don't. He is the skeeziest cunt as well. Like Venkman is a total skis bag. He's an absolute, like, all he's trying to do is he's trying to shag that young girl at the start in the psychic test, and then he immediately he sniffs her out, doesn't he, and comes straight in. Because the building is it's something, I don't remember the address, but it's something Central Park West. It's a real building, and I think it's extended with mats. It looks like it.
So I can't remember who the map painter was for this. But it's, I mean, because that's the thing with this as well. Like, the special effects are fucking great. I mean, it's one of these things where I don't think they've dated particularly because it's meant to be sort of goofy. So the fact it's kind of like Gremlins in that respect, in that it doesn't really date because it's supposed to be kind of silly, and that helps it. You've given it your suspension of disbelief more, I think.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, I don't think it would work. Well, it didn't work, but for other reasons. But I don't think it works with like slick special effects. I mean, there is an actual Ghostbusters 3, isn't there? That's kind of just
yes. Oh yeah, this is part of the COVID casualties. Yes, we have Ghostbusters Afterlife, which is sat at MGM or Sony, I guess, not doing anything. And I don't know if they're going to just, well, they won't quietly drop it anywhere, but yeah, it's the strange world of that and No Time to Die, the things that are going to just get kicked down the street forever. But yeah, also, I mean, best of luck to him. That's a real about face. It's like, we're not doing a sequel, doing a remake, and it's like, okay, we'll get the director's son to come and do a remake then, do a sequel then. And it's like, okay. I mean, with the best one in the world, I really liked have you seen any of Jason Reitman's films, Ivan Reitman's son?
I think so.
Thank You for Smoking, I think was the one that got a lot of traction with Aaron Eckhart.
Yeah, with Aaron Eckhart. Yeah. No, I didn't see that.
That was a good movie.
So
that was
probably not.
Yes. I would say there was a good movie, and it was a funny movie as well. So it was kind of I can see why getting him in, but also at the same time, it's kind of like, cool, great, and I hope it's good. I never want these things to be bad, but you just sort of go like, I don't know what story you have to tell here. There's some ghosts in a
Greg says Greg or Craig, sorry, says Up in the Air is brilliant. Yeah, I saw Up in the Air. That was great.
Right, I haven't seen Up in the Air.
Yeah.
There you go. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Look at her big American fridge. Like, even without a kind of haunted spectral dimension in it, it's still bigger than most people's houses in Britain. It's an enormous fucking thing. No sign of an ice maker on the front of it though. Yeah. I
always wanted one of those, like a big double door fridge. But I did have one briefly when I lived with my housemate for a few years, but they don't. You can't really store that much more in them. They're not.
It's an illusion.
It is really.
Oh, that's a shame. Oh, and with an ice maker on it. Those are my hopes and dreams.
They are handy.
This is quite her apartment's a little bit of a hokey set when you see out the window, and it looks like there's just like a white background with a black cityscape cardboard just like slapped on it a little bit. Not that I want to, take away from the magic here. Again, I just sort of think that kind of the look to it, the kind of slightly documentary feel. Again, it's got a kind of weird connective tissue to the American New Wave, and it comes quite early on in '84. So it's quite. It was filmed early on in '84, so it has that weird thing, but it's still very much this kind of effects-driven blockbuster. But again, it's a bit filthy.
That thing of her jumping up, which you haven't got to yet, presumably, the thing of her jumping up going, "We got one!" It's like that. They use that in so much promo stuff, don't they?
Yeah, well, they did it. Was it like, I don't remember if she says it, but like the intro of the cartoon, wasn't her like smashing the button? It was Janine smashing the button.
Yeah.
And then the car comes out of the place. It is a really good. So I think everybody knows this, but we'll say it just for the sake of being complete. Ray Parker Jr.'s Ghostbusters theme. Huey Lewis of the News successfully sued because it sounds a lot like the song "I Need a Brand New." Is it "I Need a New Drug"? I need a brand new drug because it has a.
I don't know.
Yeah, it sounds a lot
like. Right.
It does sound a lot like it, but it's a fucking amazing. It is a belter of a theme tune for a movie. Like, it's a really cool. Like that G's me up when I hear that bit of music. Which is probably residual fucking childhood energy. I don't know.
Yeah, it was the cartoon that had that. Like, 'cause I think we used to do. Didn't they do a dance or something in it? I can't remember in the opening to the cartoon.
I think it's from the video. Like they walk down the street doing the kind of clicky fingers. You're pointing.
Yeah, that's
pointing.
Pointing thing.
Yeah.
I think we used to do that as a kid. Like, just walk around like dickheads.
Massively. Yeah. I mean, that is most of being a kid, is walking around like dickheads. Poor Janine. Poor put upon Janine.
Yeah.
And they're just schlubbing around eating Chinese food, which is great. Before, you're probably at the hotel already. You're at the end credits, aren't you? Already?
I am. So I'm going to pause it just so that you can catch up to me. So I'm hitting pause now.
Okay, this is I couldn't log. The reason for this, Duncan, is because I couldn't log into Now TV today because too many devices are registered on Now TV. So I couldn't do that. However, I will say this to validate us, because I find this really, really, really funny, and I love it. On Amazon Prime, Ghostbusters is actually listed as Ghostbusters 1.
Oh yes, I saw that earlier. I was like,
makes me so happy, that does.
Is that how you're going to do it? Can you let me know when they're at the elevator?
Elevator.
The lift.
The elevator. I will do. As someone who's worked in a hotel, I'd quite like some spectral exterminators come and fucking ruin the whole place. It'd be great. I mean, I wouldn't have a job anymore, but I'd have that kind of schadenfreude, so it's great.
No, I'm Snorlax was at the point I was at. Sorry, I've fucked it.
I've fucked it, anyway. I'm generic snooty maitre d' guy.
Oh, you're nearly there then.
Yeah, we're getting up to the lift now. I'll tell you when. Also, Amazon Prime has added a watch party function, which could be that could be very useful for us, because perhaps we could get the audience in on the watch party function, so we could all play it once. You do have to own or rent the film or have a Prime subscription, of course. But yeah. This must be some kind of cosmonaut. Right, they're at the lift.
Okay.
Somebody saw a cockroach up on 12. It's got to be some cockroach.
Gotta be some cockroach, I tells you.
I mean, I'm sorry to go back to the Brown Well, but this is very much a Dirty Shitters film. That guy, hugely.
Yeah.
It's all the smoking and stuff.
Yeah. The constipation-inducing food and smoking.
This is one of the great wry gags. It's kind of like, each one of us is wearing an unlicensed nuclear accelerator, and he goes like, "Power me up." He goes like, "Boo," and then they step away from him.
Yeah.
I like all the crazy unregulated danger in this film.
Right. Which is a sort of comment, I guess, on kind of American deregulation. I mean, which I guess was fairly rampant at that point.
I kind of wanted to avoid doing this, but I'm going to do it just because it's interesting and I think it's context, and I'm not going to make any judgments. It's quite a kind of a conservative film. I think this film has a bit of a libertarian bent to it, and I know that Aykroyd, at least, I think Reitman are quite conservative, and ultimately it's about the private sector stepping up to cope with a crisis that the public sector fails to deal with. The public sector and academia are both kind of shown to be bureaucratic and corrupt. It's pro-small business. These are things. Not my worldview, but luckily I'm an adult, so I can watch things that don't agree with how I think and enjoy them. But yeah, I do think it's interesting in that sense because it is a very kind of it's a kind of Reagan movie, really. And you can take it or leave it. I'm not getting involved because that's how YouTube channels get dragged out into this awful mire. So I'm not gonna. But I do think it's an interesting thing. Because fucking Ray's got these goggles on in this scene, right? He's got his ghost goggles. That therefore, I think his toy therefore had goggles, and it's just all right, because it's in one scene of the film. I mean, never mind that he's got an orange jumpsuit that looks completely different. He's sort of
because they were all color coded in the cartoon, weren't they? They all had different coloured stuff.
They were. Egon had blue and pink. Was his one? I remember.
Right.
They would. That's how you make cartoons, isn't it? I think in the very first episode, they come back. The very first episode is them coming back from the end of this movie, and then they change into their coloured ones. They have those jumpsuits on, and they change into the coloured ones. Yeah. It's because a lot of that was written by J. Michael Straczynski, who's a really prolific writer in comics and movies and TV. And that was one of an early J. Michael Straczynski joint, was the Ghostbusters cartoon, which it would seem, I haven't watched it in years and years, but it seemed people are kind of it had loads of great stories and plots and stuff. And I remember when I was a kid, my favourite one had a train in it, and that's all I can cater to in terms of
Fair enough. I mean, I wasn't. I don't remember the cartoon didn't stick with me in the same way that something like Batman the Animated Series did.
I think we were a bit more grown up by then as well, weren't we? I think.
Yeah, a little bit more. I mean,
as was that cartoon, actually. To be fair.
Yeah, that's right. I think that had much more of a. It wasn't. We talked about the difference between adult and mature. I think it was it had a more mature attitude towards the material than the cartoon. The cartoon for this was just episodic, this week it's a ghost that thinks it's a spanner. Or a wrench, sorry, I'm talking anything.
A tap. I mean faucet.
yeah. Get that wrench over to the faucet. Mind the waste paper basket. That's it.
Oh, well, there's a kind of... so that cartoon had... Because it was the real Ghostbusters, but then it had that thing where it went away and came back as Slimer in the real Ghostbusters. And so, they recast Venkman, because Venkman was originally Lorenzo Music, who was also the voice of Garfield. So there's this weird tie-up where Lorenzo Music was Garfield, and then Bill Murray took that over, and then Lorenzo Music was Venkman, and then it's confusing because Lorenzo Music died, I think. But yeah, there's a strange sort of tie-up there because he did a very kind of Murray-esque thing. It's that kind of laconic sort of relaxed douchebag guy who's less of a sex pest in the cartoon because it's hard to write that in. But so I think they had Andy Garcia as the mayor, didn't they, in the second one, and they kind of threw that away a bit because it's just a deeply unfair.
Not in the second one.
Oh, not the second one. Sorry, the remake one. And it's kind of he's really great, and you just kind of waft this up the wall.
I mean, there's a lot of squandered things in that, but I just think.
I mean, I'm not of the opinion that they squandered the services of Ozzy Osbourne. no point.
Yeah, that could be.
Doing an Osbourne's joke fucking 20 years too late.
That's right. I forgot about that.
That was one of the moments was just oh fuck, I mean, we can't actually walk out of this because we're reviewing it, but and I very rarely walk out of a film, but that was one of those fucking. It's like the Bad Boys in Terminator Genesis, where it's fucking Christ.
Yeah, that was awful.
Was that the same year? I feel like that was just an awful year.
Yeah, it was 2015. Well, no, Ghostbusters was 2016.
Was Genesis 15?
I think Genesis was 15. Yeah,
I kind of group that Ghostbusters remake and Fant 4 Stick. I group as this kind of horrible era. I guess it was across two different years.
That sort of era of you didn't get it, did you? It's do you know what I mean? It's putting bad cops into. It's what's that got to do with anything? And it's do you think the Terminator was a comedy? Is that what you think made it what it is? Is like all the bits that we laughed at the characters? Is that what you think most people come here for? Because it's like, why are you doing this? What are you doing?
That is Terminator 3.
You know?
Terminator 3 is like, well, Terminator 2 had some jokes, so I guess it's a comedy. It's like, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, weird. I still do the thing, you know, when Venkman like pulls the cloth off the table and smashes everything.
Yeah.
And he goes, and the flowers are still standing. I still do that. This is one of those weird brain worms that I still carry with me. Is that? But this is also.
What film is it where someone goes to do it thinking that it's all going to fall off and actually does it?
Oh yeah.
I can't remember what that is.
Yeah. What is that?
This never works. Like yanks it and he goes like, and it's perfect. And it's done in a one as well, I think, because the actor does it. But yeah, I can't remember what that is now. There is a film where that happens. Someone will tell us probably.
Perhaps it's a bit like Sigourney Weaver's Hail Mary, Alien Resurrection shot. It's just the one. Take, you know.
That Ron Perlman wrecked because he fucking goes apeshit in the background. It's like, dude.
I really sympathise with that because I imagine one day you're going to do something like that and I'm going to ruin it. Like 100%, I'm like, you fucking see that? Luckily now we have face replacement technology and auto content aware film. So I'd have to sort of like After Effects my own face out. The practical stuff in this is great. The way the traps is smoking with the ghost in it and stuff, and their whole kind of attitude as well, because they don't know it's going to work. Like they just go out with all this shit, and it's like they don't know, and then they say, "Yeah, we've got nuclear reactors on our backs and shit." Like it's
Yeah. I mean, I'll say it for them. You know, that like they're kind of. I mean, I think you're right in the general, you know, your appraisal of the general attitude of the film. But I do think that they are still poking fun at small business and the kind of ramshackle nature of how they go about things. I know ultimately they are triumphant, but they're sort of triumphant, you know, in a kind of luck way, not in
they're kind of schnooky dudes that are sat around their firehouse eating Chinese, and they're kind of chancers. And Venkman in particular is, you know.
And they're quite reckless as well. Like, I mean, like they win, but they only win because it just so happens it doesn't destroy the whole world, or you know what I mean? Like, because it's like crossing the streams. It's like the whole kind of don't meet yourself in Back to the Future.
Yes, right.
So I think it's kind of like it'll either kill everyone in the world, or you know,
everyone's dead.
And it's not because they engineered it that way. Do you know what I mean? It's like this kind of like there's a huge element of luck to it. It's like, well, you know, I don't know. It's like I think it works, but like you said, I think it's that kind of. I think it's more that they're just slubby idiots who somehow managed to happen upon.
There's such a great kind of mixed group because basically you've got the kind of paranormal guy in Ray, you've got kind of the straight up scientist in Egon, you've got the kind of slightly gropey fraud in Venkman, and then when Winston comes in, he's just a straight up blue collar dude who wants a job, you know, and he's the guy who knows the city and stuff and knows his way around,
and he's the kind of audience surrogate, isn't he? And it's like he comes in so late. It's really weird that, like, I mean, because there's your character that should be sort of that's the journey we should all be going on, really.
Yeah.
Introducing very late.
Because I don't know, I'm not sure where you are at the moment, but obviously there's the montage sequence sort of after the first act break, really.
That's why I'm at.
Okay, me too. That's reassuring.
Yeah.
That whole sequence, not as a brilliantly put together thing, but to sort of go back to the kind of, I don't know, maybe the madness of Aykroyd. And also, we have to have our cake and eat it in a way, because we talk about improvisation. It looks like there were whole things that were filmed that were then put into that montage. There's whole sections of stuff where it's kind of like, that looks like a whole scene you didn't use. Where they sort of, like, well, they're in Chinatown and stuff, come running out the basement and things. You know, it's hard to say, because I know they do it again, don't they, in Ghostbusters 2. And this includes, of course, the BJ, yes. And he's dressed in, like, epaulettes. He's got, like, this Napoleonic, I don't even know what that is. Like, what does this mean?
No, it doesn't make any sense.
Oh, there's velvet rope in the room, like it's in a museum or something.
Like he's got a Napoleon complex, maybe? Although he's not particularly sure.
No.
You're right, and I think what that montage is there for is to kind of encapsulate all the adventures. You know, you got to imagine that. I suppose that's what the cartoon was doing in a way. It's like that's them going on all their adventures.
Yeah, because otherwise they'd have to go
we just don't have time.
The first job to the last job, more or less, wouldn't we? Because you have to show their data.
Yeah.
Do you believe in UFOs, mental telepathy, ESP, clairvoyance? She does that great. Annie so good. She's so good because she gets increasingly pissed off with them, and it comes across in like every scene that she does. It's so nice.
So sick of their bullshit, and like cleaning up after them and stuff. And
here we go.
they're great.
Peter Cangliellosi. I got it wrong again, man. I'm sorry. The BJ scene was from a deleted scene in a historic cabin. So that's another deleted scene. It's just like we'll throw in the blowjob bit.
In a historic cabin.
And I love like in someone's head that made enough sense to film, and it's like, oh yeah, you know the scene. But we better turn it into a dream so it still makes sense, or whatever. I don't know what its place was.
Isn't he actually? But is it all just in a dream, or is he?
Yeah, because he wakes up and falls out the bed, or at least it looks like it's a dream. If we do,
but I couldn't remember if his pants were actually going down.
Oh no! I think he just because the close up is he's wearing his overalls under the jacket, so you can see. But he wakes up in his bed in the firehouse and just kind of flips out. I don't think.
Right.
Could be wrong, but I don't think
actually happen.
No, I mean it would make as much sense as anything else, I suppose. It did this. Yeah. I do think because old Winston gets such a short shrift in this, and I get that the other guys were kind of the sort of SNL famous people, so they're all over them, just the three of them all over the marketing, and it's like, well, by the end they're a proper team and stuff.
It's a bit weird. It's like, why would you include a fourth person then? It's like, and I guess like you say, if it was intended to be Eddie Murphy, it would be like a grand reveal or something.
Right? Yeah.
You could kind of see that.
You've got to wonder what the game was before, because it was supposed to be fucking Eddie Murphy, who was on the cusp of huge megastardom. Yeah, bit weird that, I don't know, but Ernie Hudson gets his due a bit more in the second one, I think. Which again, I do like. It definitely, it feels a bit like watching it. It feels a bit like not everybody wants to be there. Particularly Bill Murray, and it's a little bit forced, but I just find it really fun and funny. And I don't know. I watched it when I was fucking 8, I guess. So whatever.
I would accept that this is the better film, but it doesn't bother me that either way, if that makes sense. Like I don't particularly care.
Yeah, right. Sorry. No, fair enough. So this just in from Steve Allen. Ray is dressed as a Confederate soldier. They are in disguise to catch the ghost of a Confederate lady, who then sucked his dick. like, what? Oh god. Okay. I said something. The Ghostbusters mythology is kind of a bit of a mess. In the idea is like the Ghostbusters. So I get in this movie, right? There's no such thing as ghosts. But what Egon and Ray have detected is that there's this huge build-up of activity that's about to happen, and it's going to a huge event. So these guys are able to then capitalize on that, and then they become the heroes and stuff because nobody's seen a ghost. And then in the second one, it's kind of like, because nothing's happened for 5 years. It's like, well, some people think they were hoaxsters and stuff, and you can kind of believe that. And it's like, okay, some people think it was bullshit. But then, like, by the third one, judged on the trailer, like, no one knows anything about anything apart from Paul Rudd. And the kids are kind of like, ugh. And it's like, dude, those 2 times in 1984 and 1990 where, like, massive, like, the Statue of Liberty walked around New York, and you're telling me, it's like, and Paul Rudd shows them a clip on YouTube. It's like, oh yeah, here's your granddad or whatever, like, doing the Ghostbuster shit. It's like, there would be a ton of footage of the statue.
It's like 9/11,
right?
It? Like, obviously far less
kind of,
great, but it would be at that level
about 9/11, but yes.
Yeah, sorry. But, you know what I mean, in terms of a touchstone event.
Yeah, people would talk about the time the museum got caked in a kind of slime mold, and then so I do think it kind of stretches credulity because
and by the way, that we proved there's an afterlife.
Yes,
you see what I mean? That also we that's quite a big deal. You would think that would have been what they were taught at school as well. Like, this thing happened, and now we know that ghosts are real, and that there's an afterlife.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that you would, and I wonder if, because obviously Harold Ramis is gone, I really hope they're not going to do because then if one of the Ghostbusters is dead, you have to embrace the possibility that there might be a ghost. But does that mean they're going to be a big purple goblin with 3 dicks or whatever? Because that's the other thing as well. as much as I love Ghostbusters, and I remember my dad saying to me, a realist to the point of awful dreariness, going like, if there were ghosts, it wouldn't look like that, because it's like the ghost would be like a 10-eyed rhinoceros or whatever, always, particularly in the cartoon. And he was right. Yeah, it's kind of like, who is that the ghost of? Like,
it's like, ghost of. In theory,
in the second one, it's like, do you remember the judge sentenced the brothers to death row, and they're like prison ghosts? I fucking love that.
Really
they look really good. And then the Cheech Marin is in that scene where the Titanic comes in and all the people are coming off the Titanic,
right? And
they're all people. And there's like the zombie cabbie and the ghost jogger. It's like, okay. It's still kind of like, what is Slimer? Like, the joke being it's the ghost of John Belushi, but like, actually, what is he? Like, what is that?
Yeah, I always just thought he was some sort of amalgamate. Like, he wasn't actually a ghost, but he was just sort of. Yeah, it doesn't really make sense.
I guess they're general spectres, right? They could be demons and spectres and things that aren't necessarily a dead person. I guess
so.
There.
Yeah.
It must suck being William Atherton, right? It's like, well, you're a massive cunt. Do you want to play a massive cunt? Like, you were not you're a massive, but it's like, you were really good being really awful in that film, so we're going to bring you back for another film where you're going to be really awful.
We're going to typecast you as just the person that everyone hates in this film. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, and that's you.
Yeah. I mean, people say that, ask me about that. I think it's just because it's on the sort of standard list of questions that you ask actors when you don't really give a shit.
Right.
Which is, are you worried about being typecast? It's like, no, I'm just worried about being cast, if I'm honest. Like, right now.
Right.
That's a luxury. If I got typecast, that would mean I was actually known well enough to be considered that. It's like,
it's the cast in typecast that we're worried about, right? You just want to be cast. You can type for me later.
Yeah. Rick Moranis is so great as well.
He is so good.
Who brought the dog?
The whole all this stuff with the dogs and everything is really cool.
Yeah.
And the Keymaster and the Gatekeeper is good shorthand. That's a great little bit of shorthand.
Yeah. Fannies and willies.
So that could have been. I can see John Candy doing that, but I wouldn't change it.
I don't think it would work. It wouldn't be the sort of dweeby where he would be the annoying, planes, trains, and automobile.
Right, kind of. Exactly. Big brash, because it's kind of like Winston as straight man, Eddie Murphy in that role. I just don't see.
That would be too much. Yeah, as much as I love Eddie Murphy and I would love to see that film, I don't think he wouldn't be the audience surrogate anymore, because you can't. He's too funny. Like, he's too.
And he
Eddie
would
Murphy
presumably be there from the start, I guess. I mean, I know what they had in mind for this, and again, this is. And when I refer to like Aykroyd's craziness, I mean he's a man with if nothing else, he's a man with an incredible imagination, like, without question. They were gonna be like a SWAT team with kind of magic ghost wands that they'll travel through time busting ghosts. It was going to be this big. So I think, before he had all these ideas, and then Ramis helped him write this as it is, as this was the more kind of grounded, okay, it's in New York in the present day, they're like bug hunters, they're like exterminators, but originally it was a big kind of pan-dimensional space and time type thing.
Wow.
So the dude has fucking imagination, like, without question. I think that's proven time and time again. And there are a few clips of him getting angry on like breakfast TV because they won't let him talk about Martians or whatever when he's trying to, he does interviews about his vodka, and they won't let him talk about pan-dimensional fucking aliens or whatever.
Right.
It's like, yeah, you fucking really believe all this, don't you? Which is
I remember
wholesome.
that freaking me out. The whole thing, the whole idea of like arms coming out of your sofa and grabbing you.
It's great though, isn't it?
It's such a great image. No, it's fantastic.
And they just drag her away.
That was like, yeah, that freaked me out.
Yeah. That's the thing, because it is, particularly for kids, this is a good scary for kids movie. It's not let's watch Evil Dead 2 or a Serbian film. It's let's have kind of like spooky spectres and things.
It's kind of like the Goonies was, it's like it had scary stuff in it, but it wasn't horror. It wasn't
right.
designed to horrify.
It give you the heebie-jeebies a little bit, but it wasn't going to kind of traumatise you, which is a balance they failed to strike with Superman 3, apparently.
Yes. Yeah. Went a little too far.
So just before the arms, sorry, they do the thing where it was done in The Haunting, and I mean, it actually goes. It's written about in The Haunting is tying back to the Freudian concept of uncanniness. I think I've talked about this before, but it's objects losing their physical properties and taking on. So a door shouldn't be soft. So in The Haunting, it's an expanding rubber door, and in this, the door is kind of warping because claws are coming out behind it, right? And it's just it creates that uncanny feeling because you just know something's wrong.
Yeah,
I love Lewis's party. It's just like no one likes him, and he just walks up and does that little dance in front of that person at one point.
Yeah, no, she starts dancing with him, and then the door goes. Like, oh, it's just a sort of an anachronistic weirdo.
Because he's really tax. He's very tax obsessed as well.
Yeah,
he just wants to talk about tax all the time.
Which again, I can see sort of John. I can see that like John Candy doing that. You know, like being that kind of socially unaware guy, because he's very good at that. He's very good at, you know, he was always very good at playing that, you know, not being able to read the room.
Yeah.
You know, and like you say, brash and everything. But I just think it's funny because I think you can sort of see how the dialogue probably wasn't changed all that much for Rick Moranis, but it just works sort of through him. I think it just works brilliantly. I think it's you know, it's his genius as well. Like he's someone who, like, because didn't he come back for like some advert with Ryan Reynolds?
Yeah, Ryan Reynolds because it was because Ryan Reynolds' line is like it's a Canadian selling American gin, so I think he got Moranis
right,
being another Canadian. Because Moranis, I believe Moranis retired because his wife passed away and he was kind of raising his kids.
Right.
Which I guess, you know, hey, look, he had a good career, and I reckon he went and did that, and probably I hope was financially secure and stuff through that and everything.
Yeah. Well, Honey, I Shrunk the Kids and Blew Up the Kid or whatever. Those were huge movies.
God, yeah. Those are ones I saw in the cinema, which I'd forgotten until you said them out loud, actually. But those were
they were massive.
Yeah, huge movies, and that was something that was just all over TV, wasn't it? Like. Because, you know, there would be those clips of the kids in the Cheerios and stuff, and all the stuff in the garden. Were played endlessly on TV. It's a Stuart Gordon movie, the first one, actually, or it was meant to be. I think it was written by Stuart Gordon, but just interesting kind of legacy of films. Rob did say, so going back to the insane Ghostbusters draft or concept. Rob Meyer says the Ectomobile was supposed to phase between realities. It was black with purple lights on it in early drafts.
Okay.
So it's kind of like a Prince-mobile, basically. It sounds like.
Sigourney Weaver, I do love the way she does. When she opens the door.
Yeah. Oh my god!
She's now
and
possessed.
Like, she's in a music video.
Yeah. It's so good. It's so funny.
And he's still being kind of a bit sleazy, but luckily he's able to sort of realise what's going on.
No, and that is again, that's good character work, because it's like you need that about him. Like he still does the right thing, even though he's now got his window is open, but it's like it's not, you know. And it's the sort of the heightened reality version of having, you know, a drunk girl want to get it on with you and you're not, you know, whatever, and you're like, I can't do that.
Yeah, I'm not a rapist, thanks. But, you know.
Yeah.
So Colin McLean pointed out, someone, Rick Moranis made his comeback and he was in New York and someone fucking punched him in the face. He got assaulted. Yeah, poor bastard. Like one of the most this like beloved comic actor that's been away for ages, and then he sticks his head out above the parapet. Someone fucking.
Where have you fucking been?
Over there, over here,
you motherfucker. Not that he'd say motherfucker.
No, he didn't say over there, over here, which is the only way to not get punched in New York when someone asks where you've been.
Right. Yeah, where have you been? And it had better be over there, because I'm over here. And if you weren't over there, I'm gonna punch you over here, and you're gonna end up over there. Understand? Capiche?
Phil Robb pointed something out that I've read before and is very, 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 very true. And I'm going to phrase it exactly how Phil Robb phrased it. Who brings Thorazine on a date?
What the fuck is Thorazine?
it's a sedative, and he gives her Thorazine. So like later on, when he calls the other Ghostbusters, I think he's kind of like, yeah, I gave her a shot of Thorazine or whatever, and it's like, okay, time's passed. I'm sure there's some script reason for it, but also he is a doctor. But he's not a medical doctor, or is he? Anyway, he's just carrying his Thorazine around with him.
That he got from Bill Cosby. Perfect nucleus.
Oh, Bill Cosby was originally going to play Venkman.
There wasn't enough Jello pudding. Now we know why he loved Jello pudding so much. You should fucking inject that shit.
It suddenly all makes sense.
The pill and the chocolate. That's Eddie Murphy's read on the situation. It's so fucking funny.
Eddie Murphy's take on something.
The pill and the chocolate. Because it had to be like some wholesome version of like date rape. It's like, why don't I put it in the chocolate? Because he's such a fucking...
Murphy needs to fucking come back in a proper way, man.
He keeps talking about it, man. Like he so should. Because I just thought he was... Yeah, he's the best.
You see him,
although again, I don't think he'd get away with the kind of humour that he did in his 20s. But then
no, there's lots of kind of not good stuff in Eddie Murphy's early stand-ups. But I do think, but he's been kind of regretful about it and talked about it and stuff. I think.
Yeah.
And hey, like I want to see him doing something a bit filthy and a bit rude again. Like good for him making a bunch of money doing family comedies and stuff. But him doing something a bit kind of naughty would be good.
So, I mean, we need a bit of that. I mean, I'm not being funny, but I just think that is part of the purpose of comedy, is to provoke a bit. But for one thing, obviously, to laugh at someone unfortunate is not great. But do you know what I mean? Like, there needs to be a bit more edge, I think. And I think he would. I think he would get it now. I think being older and he's certainly smart enough.
Everyone's talking about Coming to America 2, which is happening, but Coming to America 2 is a PG-13 from what I've heard. And
Dolomite. Fantastic though.
I still haven't watched Dolomite, and that's supposed to be fucking. Dolomite. I know, and I really fucking love that period of cinema and shit as well. So like I need to watch Dolomite massively. I've heard good stuff.
Fucking hilarious, man. Like Brad and I watched it over one morning. We were just like howling with laughter. It's fucking incredible.
Oh, that's I need some
really is
light-hearted to chuck on. That'd be.
And it's one of the. What I think kind of it awoke me to as well is the fact that like that if it had been released around the time of like Eddie Murphy's height, if it was around sort of Coming to America and Trading Places and all that kind of stuff, like it would have been another great one of those. Like it really feels like I believe that. Like, I think Dolomite is up there with those movies. But I think it was very popular when it came out. But I think we're just in this era of disposable media.
Well, because that was a Netflix thing, right?
Yeah.
And when things go straight to Netflix, and hey, that's the future, and I think there's nothing wrong with that. But people people seem to forget them more. People forget things faster when they go to streaming for some reason, and maybe it's because there's no event tied to them, and that sucks, because the idea of exhibitionist cinema is that it's an event, right? Like you gather for an event, and if that's gone, you just you watch half of it picking your bum on Netflix, and then eat a pizza and watch the other half later with a warm beer. You probably think less of it. I don't know, because it in no way speaks to the quality of the filmmaking.
No, God no. I mean, I think it's. I mean, it's weird because it sort of is a bit of a. It's a kind of. There's a democratization to it that I like, in that now everyone has a widescreen TV, and you can essentially kind of get. You can get the sense of the cinematic quality of a film at home, but I mean, obviously you can't get the full experience without being in a theatre, and I think people are valuing it for different reasons now. I think it used to be like it's because it was just your only choice and they had the monopoly on it. Now it's kind of like, well, you have to kind of want to see it on the big screen. But I don't know where I'm going with that.
No, I think you're absolutely right. I think you're right. I do think you're absolutely on the right track there.
Which is where I suppose is what, and I've talked about this before, but I think that's where the model has to go. It has to accept that people will go and trust that people will go to the theatres out of choice. That they don't have to sort of monopolise a film's release in that way, and that actually you could release it across platforms. I get what they're sort of afraid of is obviously there's going to be the box office returns will take a hit, but I think if you can get off the idea that you need to spend hundreds of millions of dollars and start spending $30 or $40 million, that's where it'll work. Well, I mean, you can deliver films for that. I'm sorry, there's no reason why.
Oh man, the stuff I've seen our mates do for fuck all money,
Yeah.
You know, like way less than 100 grand. I've seen features made, and it's just like, yeah, that's fucking, because, you know, it's easier now with we have more access to effects and good cameras and things, you know, and that's that. I do think that something has to change, and I think, and these opinions are my own, but I think the studios treat the cinemas like shit, and then the cinemas treat the punters like shit. Shit rolls downhill. So the studios squeeze the cinemas, and the cinemas just fucking wring every penny out of us. And I've worked in, you know, I'm saying that having worked inside the cinema system, and shit rolls downhill, and something has to change. Like, you know, make it a better experience for us, and we're more likely to give you our money if we don't feel like we're being fucking robbed every time we go. You know.
Yeah, there's again, because it's predicated on a kind of monopoly in that, you know, that's, you know, a hyped movie comes out, everyone wants to see it, and the only place to see it as soon as it's released is in the cinema, right, for the first few months. So, but anytime there is a monopoly and there's no real competition in that, and especially with things like, I mean, obviously some towns have multiple cinemas, but it's not competition in the sense of there isn't, like, apart from one time in the early 80s, there wasn't a competing James Bond film, was there, for example? Right. You know, you didn't have your choice of you know, different, like, you couldn't go see Ghostbusters by Disney or Ghostbusters by, you know, so there isn't competition, and that's fine because it's artistic license, and I understand that. But it's like, I suppose that the upshot is that customer service is completely out the window, because it's like, well, you want to see it, fucking pay the money then.
Yeah, we're the only game in town. So fuck you, that'll be 12 quid for a coke.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. You're held hostage. And this whole shit about them searching people's bags to stop people going in with, like, their own candy or whatever. And it's like, that's not legal, though, is it?
Yeah.
There isn't a legal requirement for me to buy your...
there was some fucking guy that I won't name him that I worked in the cinema with. And he, you know, perhaps didn't have a lot going on in his life. I don't know. But he decided that he was going to take everything in the job super seriously. And I remember him, like, searching people's backpacks. And the management had to be like, you can't do that. Like, I know we say they're not allowed their own stuff, but you're not actually allowed to search them. And it's like, well, why does this exist then? You know what I mean? Like, go fuck yourself. And to be fair, most workers in cinemas, they're on minimum wage and stuff, and they understand the cost. I mean, I was like, I let people in. I don't give a shit. I don't give a fuck about their bottom line. They don't give a shit about me. Why should I care about them? They tried to make me sign a bit of paper saying I couldn't join or form a union, which is also illegal. I won't say which chain I work for, but... I was going to do a joke, but I still won't. You know, but that's also an illegal act that's designed
freedom of association, motherfuckers. Like, you can't do that.
No. Yeah, precisely. Rob Wells gave £5 in Super Chat.
Yeah, I was going to say, he's availed himself of £5 to, I think, piss us off.
Which I respect. I really like this.
No, I did.
This is how I only spent £5. Hi lads, just found your channel today. Looks good. Have you ever thought of doing a commentary on the 1986 classic Highlander? You'd love it. We can't go a week.
You overplayed your hand there, Rob, because you said looks good. I think if you'd left that out, I would have almost bought that you were being genuine.
I wasn't sure. He had me at first, and I was like, no one's actually writing that. No way. But I like that very much. That would be my £5 as well.
Yeah.
Oh man. Yes, so I do actually use Highlander as my shorthand for people that are immortal, and I dropped a Highlander reference in the opening of the stream. But we do that aside. If I hadn't done that, we seem to be unable to escape Highlander week by week. I'll tell you what, when the cinemas reopen, we'll do a Highlander stream in a cinema, and it'll be £15 each. And there'll be £20 for food that Duncan and I make. We'll bring sandwiches and make you have that.
They're not popcorn.
Not popcorn. No.
Shit
sandwiches. Yes. I saw an article saying that a lot of cinemas are renting their screens out to gamers because they've dropped the kind of the rates, because you can most cinemas that you rent them privately for business meetings and screenings and things. A lot of them have really dropped their rates to just get anyone in. And because I was fortunate enough to have the whole Arts Picture House in Cambridge to myself for my 20-somethingth birthday. And we had all 3 screens. We watched RoboCop and then we played games on the screens and ran around because my friend used to be a manager there. And he hasn't worked there for over a decade, so he can't get sacked now. So, but yeah, it was amazing. It was incredible. It was really, really fucking cool. So yeah, that seems to be, there's a lot of kind of scrabbling around in the dirt, I think, now. Because they've got to kind of make their bottom line up.
Yeah, and I mean, look, I'm generally, I'm by and large sympathetic to a lot of the stuff. I mean, I think it's just a broken model that I think it in a way it kind of metastasized in that way almost of its own accord, in that it was just like everything had to keep edging out and edging out and edging out, and this sort of hyperinflation of budgets meant that, you know, it's almost like the budget is part of what sells the film. It's like, we spent $250 million. It's like, that's is that, are you just saying that so that we'll go and see it more likely? You know what I mean?
It's the
like,
idea of a prestige product, I think. Because it's like, well, this costs lots of money. It's like, well, that's dumb. Why did you do that? It should be the real reaction.
Exactly.
Not like, oh wow, it's like, why did it cost that much? That's stupid. It's like, because if he's got The Rock in it and he demands $50 million for each movie, it's like, well, a quarter of it went on him. Like,
that's it. I mean, I do think that's kind of that kind of has to go, doesn't it? I mean, I saw actually one of those random things that came up on my YouTube was Chris Reeve being interviewed by was it Dick Cavett or something? You know, back when men were men.
Yeah.
And Dick Cavett.
Sponsored by cigarettes.
Just the whole concept of cigarettes is what's called. And he said, I think he was quite right. He just said, look, I just think that even then, like whenever that was in the 80s or 90s or whatever, he was just like, I think the whole studio system needs to change. He goes, I don't think people really turn up to see stars, you know, no matter that they, you know, all right, stars sell newspapers and they sell magazines and stuff, and, you know, the lifestyle of the rich and famous and all that kind of thing. But he said, I don't think people really go to the cinema just to see stars. I mean, maybe some people do, but it was just like, I think if you put a really great concept to screen and you tell the story well, that's what people are more like. You know, if you think of all the biggest films of the last few decades, very few of them have been starring a major star. You know, it's been more about the concept. Like Titanic, obviously, is not about Leo DiCaprio and Kate Winslet, though they became massive household names off the back of it. But, you know, it wasn't really about the people in it. It was about the boat, essentially. The iceberg, really. You know, like Avatar again doesn't have a. I mean, I know it's got Sigourney Weaver in a supporting role, but it didn't really have a massive known cast, particularly.
There are names, but not like huge movie stars. I mean, your lead is Sam Worthington, and you've got a few others in there, like Giovanni Ribisi. You know, no slight against him. Like, you know, he's a well-known actor of television and film, but like, he's not a movie star. You know, like he's not a marquee name. Yeah.
So I just think it's like when you look back at all the stuff, and you know, you can go. People would say stuff like Terminator 2, but it's like, but what came before it is what made them names. You know, so I just think these touchpoint films really didn't. It wasn't about the stars, and then it's weird how those then perpetuate the idea that you have to have those names in it. I mean, I'm not saying that there's necessarily anything wrong with it, but I just think perhaps if we got off that idea that you have to shove famous people into films all the time. I know this sounds incredibly self-serving.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, look, I agree. Well, it probably sounds self-serving for me as well. But like, you know, selling something on the basis that it cost a lot of money, it's sort of like that doesn't, you know, it doesn't equate to quality. You know, and there are endless examples of that. Like, you can point to so many examples from the last few years. I mean, you know, the DC movies being a bit of a debacle and stuff like that, and other stuff that's come out and been a mess, like the Fantastic Four movie or whatever. Like, you know, just saying this cost a bunch of money, that isn't good enough.
The Justice League is a really good example of that, because it's like when you're dealing with that level of spending, you see, like, the reason why that got really shafted was because a bunch of Warner's executives would keep their bonus if they forced it out on a certain day. So there was some technical thing that meant they kept. And it's like, well, because there's that much money on the line, so much corruption creeps into the system. You know, and you know, not always, but like in the case of that, it's like no wonder there's more and more and more spreadsheet decision making, because it's either because you're betting the farm every time you do this, or it's because you've got a bunch of people who stand to make a ton of money and swan off into the sunset. And it's like, well, that's not how you make art, though, is it?
Yeah, well, you know, the commodification of art, man, and it's not, you know, we're not naive. We know it's been like this for a long time, but it doesn't make it all right. You know, it's just like, because a lot of people like to.
I'm not saying you shouldn't commodify art. Like, I'm not saying
no. But you're talking about yeah, of course not, and that's what we aim to do, right? Like, yeah, of course. But like talking about the kind of extreme end of it, the kind of corrupt end of it, has been going on forever.
Yeah.
And I think people like to defend it by saying it's been going on forever. And it's like, that's not okay. It's not all right. It's been going on.
It's like when you balk at the price of something that someone's quoted you, and they go, "Well, that is the going rate." If you look around, it's like, yeah, but it shouldn't be.
Yeah,
doesn't mean
that's
it's all
price
right
fixing,
to do
you
that.
fucks. That's what that is.
Rob Wells sent us. Oh, sorry.
No, please.
No,
You don't.
Firstly, I just want to say I love that shot of Sigourney Weaver sat in all the disruption with her legs like man spreading, with her leg on the arm.
Also, the scene before, when they're looking at their blueprint, all those crims just like stand round them and gather round him. He's like, "You get in there so far." That's great.
Yeah, that's right. Rob Wells sent us another £5 and says, "Sorry guys, couldn't resist it. Been following you guys since Mr. Black. Love the content. Look forward to more Alien Isolation. More milk.
Yeah, jolly good.
More Alien. Tell me you haven't. Oh, you've still got more of that to play.
What are you talking about?
Finish it already.
What are you talking about? I'm providing quantity, not quality. No, wait, that's bad.
Have we just decried that very thing?
It's different on gaming streams or something. Somehow.
and or whatever.
One of the guys in the background of the jail scene looks like a young John Carpenter. But,
really? Are you still on the jail scene?
When they come back to it, I bet they cut back to it.
Right, sorry. Okay, yeah.
What did I see? Thought I saw something chatting. The bit in the second one where they get, because instead of going to jail, they get institutionalized instead, and it's like, this is the same thing with straitjackets. Oh, the present scene is where you see Rachel Val Johnson as a cop.
Yes.
As Sergeant Al Powell. Films with Twinkies, films with Rachel Val Johnson, films with William Atherton, films with Richard Edlund, all of the Die Hard things linking Ghostbusters and Die Hard. A tall building.
Yeah.
Ghost dogs. Okay, not that one, but you know what I mean. You know what I'm saying. There's it's mostly in the end of the film, but because I believe I'm right in thinking that the location stuff is New York, but the set bound stuff is LA. So I think it's divided between the two things. So I think it was someone, like I said, the Ghostbusters fans really know their shit. But like, as you pointed out, Dana's ruined apartment, and also she sort of ravages him when Lewis walks in. She sort of like puts him in the girl position and kisses him. But like, Dana's apartment, really great set, and then obviously the Shandor building rooftop is really cool, where they meet Gozer with all the gargoyles and the kind of Angler shit. So I know that the new movie. So is it Ivo Shandor was because again they tie it back to that sort of Edwardian sort of spiritualist movement. I think he's the one who built this building, and then in Ghostbusters Afterlife they go to a mine, and the mine says like the Shandor Mining Company. So presumably they're going to link back.
We had that in Fistful of Lead. That there was a character that never shows up called Shandor that everyone's kind of waiting for in a mine. Funnily enough. Something to do with the gold rush, or like, I don't know. Yeah, so I guess that's. I know. Mark could tell you all of it.
Yeah, he was quite excited we were doing Ghostbusters tonight, actually. So if that's deliberate, I wouldn't be surprised. It's the same mayor in Ghostbusters 2, right? That comes back.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I think so.
Sorry, I was just enjoying the performance of Bill Murray. So it always gets me.
Isn't it like cats and dogs living together?
Mass hysteria. Yeah, this is something people quote. I get a little bit nervous over misquoting Ghostbusters because the fans know it. You know, it's a really well-known thing.
Well, good for you.
Good for you, you prick.
And how was it? I hope it was fucking good because it's fucking useless now.
We'll never forget how Christian Bale had a meltdown on a Ghostbusters watch party. Hashtag never forget.
Yeah.
Yeah, we get like the Cardinal turn up and speak to the mayor. I'm probably back behind you again, but fuck it. Let's not mess with the formula.
Yeah.
Or unmess with the formula.
Okay.
I did play the Master System game of this, actually. It was quite cool. You had to like run the day-to-day Ghostbuster business before you got to fight Zool. So like you had a map, and you had to go around earning money to buy all the stuff, so you were ready to fight Zool at the end. And I think it was the same on like all different formats and stuff. The Ghostbusters 1 game. I don't think it's a very well remembered game, but I really loved it as a kid. I used to play it for hours. And yeah, you go around the map, you go like bust all the ghosts, you upgrade all your gear, and you have to drive to each job, make all your money, and then you have to have enough to go to the building and fight Gozer, which is really, 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 really hard, as I remember. And they make it really difficult.
I do remember. Yeah, I think I vaguely remember playing it around a friend's or something. It was being really hard, and it was back in the day when you just couldn't save anything, could you? So it was like, you have to do it all in a wanna.
I think certain versions had a password system that somehow, and I actually, because this is how I spend my free time, I watched a video based on how that was done, and because you could put in this password and it'd give you your exact equipment and money. And it's just a very clever bit of programming, but not every version had it. So like a lot of versions were just like, "Nah, go fuck yourself." Because I think like, yeah, we had an Atari 2600 version. I think that was just like, do it in a one or go fuck yourself. Like, and I don't even think like I don't even think you could pause that machine. you know what I mean? Twisted Koala says it was shit, but I spent hours on it. Yeah, exactly. That's precisely. There are many games I could point to and say that was shit, but I spent hours on it.
Yeah,
it sums up a lot of my early, because you just played what you could, couldn't you?
Yeah. I think I got the first console I ever got was a Mega Drive, or a Mega Drive 2 or whatever, and it came with that. What's it called? Wasn't that called Rise of the Machines or something about machines?
Oh, Rise of the Robots.
Rise of the Robots. That's it.
Oh my god, with music by Brian May, I think. Yeah, Rise of the Robots had this huge marketing push. Had all this. It's a very good example, actually, of things. Just because they cost a lot of money doesn't mean they're good. Had a huge multi-format kind of push. It had all these names attached to it and stuff, and it was shit. It was fucking shit. It was fucking shit. Yeah, I love all the. Again, the second one does it as well. All the spectacle in this, whereas like the fucking National Guard, and it does feel a bit like because you know how insane the Blues Brothers goes at the end. Like the Blues Brothers go so mental, and it's just like the army, the cops, the Nazis, like the hillbillies, like everybody they've pissed off is coming to get them. And this kind of does a similar trick because there's these huge crowd scenes and stuff, and like all these, all the vehicles and stuff, and
the ground opening up. I love the ground opens up and just swallow. They arrive to this sort of hero's welcome, and then the ground just opens up and swallows them. It's just like,
it's great.
Yeah,
it's a great wet fart of an entrance, isn't it? But then they all come out and it's like, woo!
Well, it's hubris, isn't it? It's like that's really where the funniest. It's like it's probably a lamentable aspect of human. Sort of psychology, but we love to watch people fall in undignified ways. It's like the guy walking. Whenever someone slips on a banana peel, they're never like nervously walking along. They're always striding along, like thinking that nothing's going to go wrong, right? And that's
because that's not funny. You have to puncture someone's hubris, like you say, like
kind of. So it's kind of.
I do think it's a kind of low key test for sociopathy, in my view. In that the person who laughs at the already vulnerable person slipping over is probably insane and evil. But if you laugh at a kind of twat falling over. And because Venkman's the twat, right? Because he walks up and kisses all their hands and stuff. And he's like such a D-bag. And the rest. And, they are, I think, as you say, what sets them up for that well is because they're so inherently schlubby to different degrees. Like they're all different They're all different types of the same schlub, aren't they, these four? I think it's like probably Egon and Winston come off with the most dignity, I think, at any given time. But then there's kind of like they keep referencing Egon's like mold collection and stuff like that. And it's like, here's your snotty gun when he gives him that little pot full of ectoplasm. The whole thing's fun. And of course they have to go up the stairs, and people hate stairs, man. Stairs are the worst. Great effects as well, the whole road stuff. I guess that's. Don't know how they did that or whatever, but it looks fucking good. There's a kind of element of religious awe as well, because you've got kind of like I think there's Catholic police, there's a bunch of like Hasidic Jews, there's like all these different religious groups at the building, and then there's like a bunch of punks in the background and stuff, and then kind of stiffs in button-up shirts and stuff. And Ron Jeremy is in this section of the film. Did you know that, the porn star?
No.
Yeah, it's not. I don't think it's intentional, but he's in the crowd. Over here or at the end of the movie. Yeah, it's weird. It's a weird one for odd little cameos, this movie, because there's a few sort of peppered in there. But yeah, very, very, very odd. Yeah, I can't.
Speaking of hubristic things, the other day, what did it? What happened? I can't remember. It was like Winston or Aslan, the cat or the dog, did something stupid. I can't remember. They did something stupid and got their comeuppance. Like in a hubristic way, like Winston got busted trying to steal some food or something. You know, and he ran and hit his head, or I don't know. You know what I mean? Like he turned into something, went bang. And I literally, as I walked in the kitchen, I just went, and it was the timing of it all. But I just went, dickhead, and then smacked my leg on a chair because I wasn't paying attention. And it went like, dickhead. It was just that, like, oh.
There are times like that when you wish it was being recorded. It's kind of like that beautiful rhythm of nature. Just the hubris pyramid collapsing in on itself.
It's like, dickhead. Oh. And then I laughed. It was one of those things that it happened so quickly that I had to laugh afterwards, and that made it funnier. Because I just saw the whole thing play back in my head, and I was like, this is hilarious. There you go. That's an insight into my private life.
Duncan's day-to-day life, yeah.
Laughing at my dog and then stubbing my toe.
I love them. They're just sort of lying on the altar when they go to the top, just like they've been just smoking crack or something. They're just all messed up and like lying about. It's great. Did you? Sorry, this is a real tangent, but fuck it, why not? Did you ever see that thing where they introduce a bunch of cats to a catnip bush? We talked about this before. No. It was on like a nature documentary. This sort of just reminded me of that a little. It's a nature documentary or something. There's a catnip bush of naturally occurring catnip. I don't know if you've ever given catnip to a cat, but it's very, very funny.
Yeah, we give it to ours all the time. Well, we all the time.
He just confessed to a cat addicted to nip.
No, we don't give it to him all the time, but like he has stuff with it.
He's injecting it now.
Yeah,
they let loads of cats to a catnip bush, and it's one of the funniest things I've ever seen because all the cats come and they see what's going on, and they all just go like, "Oh God!" And they're just like, oh, and they're rolling in it and smushing it in their faces and going crazy. And they all get high off this catnip, and then they all just lie there going, ah. And then after long enough, they all sort of go like a bunch of like crackheads leaving a party. They all leave because they they don't want any more, so they slope off to go have a sleep. All these like really high, and the orgy of kind of indulgence when these cats get their nip and just like clawing it off the bush and smashing their faces in it and stuff. It's absolutely. And the part when they sort of like drunkenly walk off is what when those two wake up on the altar is what that reminded me of. It's one of the.
I don't really know what catnip does. Like, I mean, I'm not sure what it obviously has some sort of alluring property for cats, but
yeah, I don't know exactly what the situation is, but they do get some kind of. I watched another thing about actually I think it was the documentary Inside the Pod, which was narrated by David Tennant about dolphins, and adolescent dolphins get high on pufferfish venom because it doesn't kill them. Did you see the same thing?
I didn't see it, but I heard about it.
Yeah, it's crazy. So like, this gang of teenagers are swimming around the ocean, and they find a pufferfish, and the pufferfish venom isn't lethal to them, so they sort of jab the pufferfish, so the pufferfish then goes what gives out the venom, and then they get it in their beaks and go like and then just chuck it to their mate who does the same thing, and then they just swim around tearing shit up. So oh my god, like dolphins and cats are just total crackheads. Like it's really really fucked up. Okay, we got some sweet I would assume then this is all kind of studio sets in LA because I believe that's all West Coast, all that stuff. And this is bananas. All of this is nuts. I love it. Like it's kind of, it's very set bound, but it's ambitious and crazy.
Reminiscent as well. Like I think a lot of films of the 80s kind of had this similar thing where it was like get to the top of the building, defeat the evil guy. Like Turtles does that as well, doesn't it? It's like they have to have the fight at the top of the building. I'm not sure.
I like the twist on it in this because it's like, I love the way the kind of spirit dimension is. It's not like it's not just a doorway as such. It seems to be sort of because if you look behind the size of the building, the sky from that dimension is the sky behind the building, and there's a pyramid suspended there. So it's like the realities have blended rather than just having like a Stargate or a hole. It feels like it's one kind of thing, and the fact there's a pyramid in it and the way Gozer comes out and stuff, and she's she's like a fashion model or something, isn't she? I think.
Yeah, she wasn't an actress. I don't think. I think she was.
Goes the Gozerian with her crazy hair and red eyes, which are presumably horribly dangerous 10-inch thick glass contact lenses that you can't see.
Probably.
It's normally no. Craig, I was about to say what I was about to say. Paul Rubens, so Pee Wee Herman was originally in the frame to be Gozer. So the wacky thing was like, a little unassuming man was going to come out and talk to them, but they ended up going down the route of the kind of more ethereal sort of threatening presence of this actor. Also, I think making Gozer wacky kind of dilutes, if it was going to be wacky, I assume it was, kind of dilutes having Stay Puft, I think, because you have to have the silly thing, right? Yeah. And Ray's kind of like a bit of a schlubby dude who just really likes marshmallows, and all he can do is conjure a marshmallow man, which is really great. Like, there's no way, I don't think I would ever think of that. I would never think of that as a thing. Like, your big kaiju Godzilla moment.
Yeah, like what's the deal? He has to choose a worthy opponent or something.
Yeah, you have to choose the form of the destroyer. So she's basically going to take the form of the destroyer out of your head, and they all kind of say, "Okay, nobody think of anything." And then Ray thinks of eating marshmallows as a child, so they have to fight a huge mascot.
That's right.
I had that toy actually. I had the Stay Puft toy.
I think I did as well. Yeah, I think I did.
Yeah, I think which I got. Bless my fucking dad, bless him. So I had the. My mum and dad have these stories about because we didn't have much money either, so I don't know how they did it. But like my mum and dad have stories of going to fucking Tesco 10 miles away to get the fucking toy or whatever. And I had the Proton Pack.
Yeah.
I had the backpack.
Yeah, I had one. I had that and the trap as well, I think.
Right, yeah, because the trap had the air pump, and he stood it in there. My dad had my dad for his work. It's quite canny actually, but my dad had like these navy blue overalls for his work. It said Cam Wiring, which was the name of my dad's company as an electrician, because it was sole trader. It was just him, and he bought a miniature child pair, and my mum put the badge on because like when there was childcare issues, so my mum had to work and my dad had to work. Like my dad used to take me out on jobs with him, and then so I'd be like a mini him out on the job.
Oh, that's cool.
And it works really well for my dad because like clients were just kind of like, oh, because a little kid, and I'd get given loads of biscuits and shit. I was fucking loving it. But when it was Christmas, like I got my Proton Pack, and my mum and dad were like, "Well, you've got your overalls, haven't you? Like a Ghostbuster." Blew my fucking mind. I was walking around in my little overalls with my Proton Pack, just having the best fucking time.
That's so sweet, man. That's so cool. That's lovely.
So
those are the best things. Like I always remember growing up, like because we didn't have much money either. Like other kids would get all the toys, all the official toys, and I had to kind of make them out of toilet rolls or whatever.
Same.
But it was like I actually had more fun, I think, doing that. I actually, because it was the whole trade. Do you remember Tracy Island was a big thing, and Blue Peter did that thing about how to build it.
But did you? Okay, I did because
we built it.
I did the Ninja Turtles sewer. They did a Ninja Turtles sewer the same way a little while later. With the yogurt pots as sewer vents and stuff.
Yeah. But I love that. I was sort of like, because I remember because we made it out of paper mache and followed all the like instructions and stuff, and it was like, actually this is more fun, and I can make it more accurate, because I remember then finally going around someone's house who actually had the real deal, and it was like it wasn't as good, like because as a kid you obsess over the details.
You just get handed it, don't you? Yeah, because it's all wrong or whatever. It's kind of I think so. I got the Proton Pack, and then anything else Ghostbusters wise pretty much would come from like car boots and stuff like that, or like a charity shop or something. You'd be able to scoop up one bit of pocket money, and so you end up with. Because I think that's how I got my Slimer and my Stay Puft, because I fucking got a load of Ghostbusters stuff secondhand. But yeah, making things. I used to make so much stuff. I used to make my own. I used to get old toys and turn them into Terminators. Was one of my things, because
I used to do that.
Right, because there weren't any good Terminator toys, and the ones that were there were really fucking expensive or hard to get. So you just fucking put a bit of tinfoil on an Action Man's face. And
I used to use blue tack. So like I'd get my Action Man and then put blue tack like over part of his face, and then really make a little ball for the eye, and like blend it in and try and make it look as sort of authentic as possible, and then they could colour parts of it with like black pen, and I used to try and make it look and I remember some of them I got looking so good, I was like, it literally stayed like that for like years, or like probably a year or something, because I'm not taking that off. I've done it right.
Got a fucking Terminator. I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah, exactly.
No chance.
Yeah, man, no, I used to do that all the time. But I think that's more fun. That's way more creative. Like, I mean, that's using your imagination, isn't that the whole point? Like, if you just got the thing, that's just about obtaining something. That's not about actually.
No,
You're not involved in it.
And also, because you and I were the same child in a lot of ways, and I think it's kind of like Terminator's have a rocket launcher in his chest. That's stupid. My Terminator's not gonna have a. It's like, like, why has he like got a volcano suit on? That's stupid. Like, Batman doesn't look like that. My Batman's not going to be like that. You know what I mean? And you sort of do your own thing a bit better.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so here we go. We sort of coming up front, being all like, going in on nostalgia, but then at the end of the thing, we're kind of like, oh yeah, I used to make my own Terminators and sewers.
Well, yes, I suppose, yeah, that's true. I suppose there's an element. Well, there's an element of hypocrisy in that, except that what I'm actually wistful for was the fun I had around it rather than the actual thing itself, and kind of. Yeah. I mean, I suppose that's what nostalgia's built off, and nowadays the kind of the things that people have available to them now. There's that huge democratization of, being able to make film props essentially, like the people who make film accurate Batman costumes and stuff like that. So that would have, as a kid, I couldn't have dreamed of such. I would have been like, oh my god.
I'll tell you the best. I've probably told you this before, but it's a very good thing, and it's since I went to Comic-Cons and stuff. Because on that note, seeing people walking around Comic-Cons with like these homemade, and the Ghostbusters fans, man, the Ghostbusters fans with their own names on the thing, and it's all perfect, like these perfect costumes, all this stuff looks so fucking amazing, and either they bought some in or they pieced it together. It just looks so good. I was in, I think when I went to Kapow Comic Con, which was Mark Miller's one, I went with Ivan and Tom years ago. I was in the Tesco Islington opposite the Business Design Centre. And I just heard, what I heard was, is this in the meal deal? No, it's not in the meal deal. The yogurts aren't, but the crisps are. And it goes, but it says you can have a snack. This is a snack. It's like, it's not a snack by their definition. You can have a chocolate bar or crisps. It's like, well, why? How come you can have a big sandwich? I looked round, and it was the most amazing Batman and Robin costume I'd ever seen. Like, they looked like they could kick my fucking ass, arguing over a Tesco meal deal. It was this weird moment of kind of hyper reality where like Robin thought he could have a yogurt but he couldn't. It was so good. And I'm just standing there just going like, I don't want this to end. You're a billionaire, Bruce. What are you doing in Tesco?
Yeah, why do you care? Just buy the fucking yogurt already.
Can't Alfred? I thought Alfred packed you lunch. What's going on?
Yeah, this isn't drive-through.
But that was like a proper like leather armor with like no. He looked sort of like the Arkham Batman, the first one.
Okay.
It looked fucking cool. And then Robin, I think was it was like like a woman. I think perhaps his girlfriend or his mate or something, who was kind of short. So it was Robin. And had the same thing, like it was all kind of metal and leather and stuff, and they looked fucking wicked. And they were having like this immensely, there's humour, there's the inherent tension between ordinary people doing extraordinary things and extraordinary people doing ordinary things. And it's the latter made flesh, and it's one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen in my life. And long may it continue.
Yeah, I just, again, I don't know if it's because I came to it later in life or whatever, but like Comic-Cons, they're hard
work, mate. I think I'm done. I think I'm done with them. I think I'm done with them after the last few. Unless we're asked to appear again, which is unlikely. In which case I would do, but I don't think we're going to be asked to do that again, probably. But man, it's exhausting. It's a highly exhausting experience, isn't it? And actually, you know what? The last few I've kind of gone to, I've been like, there's no comics here. That seems weird to me. But never mind. Know what I mean?
Yeah, and there's all those kind of weird, like, I mean,
what's he gonna say?
No, I'm not gonna say it. I'm not gonna say it because I know what's gonna. I know what's right around the corner. No, I'm not gonna say it. But I just, I didn't. There was some, like you said, it's very impressive costumes, and let's just leave it at that.
Yes, no, okay. Well, you do see, I must confess, I think the night, because Sam's in the chat, the night me, Sam and Brad just got wrecked at MCM was so fucking funny, and then we ended up all three of us sharing my room at the hotel, and it was a very, very funny night. And also just like the big pub near MCM but all the kind of cosplayers and stuff were out getting boozed up like everybody else. It felt like a festival atmosphere, except every other person's dressed as fucking Naruto or Spider-Man or whatever.
Yeah,
you know.
I do miss that sort of thing, man, because it's like as we're hopefully now on our way out of winter, you start to get a taste for the idea of the beer garden and pub gardens and stuff, and it's like,
yeah, right.
I miss that atmosphere, and that was one good thing. I mean, that Comic-Con sort of happening in the summer definitely had that. Although the one we went to in Birmingham was fucking freezing. But
oh god, yeah, that was a fucking snowstorm, right? Like, Jesus. Sam did just chime in. Sam, whom I just mentioned. Comic-Con was great for seeing Darth Vader sitting on the floor swiping through Tinder. It's stuff like that, man, that kind of I mean, perhaps don't even enter the Comic-Con, just linger outside for those moments, I think is the
well, yeah, because it's one of those things. It's that thing, actually. It's that thing that happens, remember, and it's a very sweet, lovely thing that, Johnny Depp is dressed up as Jack Sparrow and going and seeing kids with cancer and stuff.
Sure.
But it's like that you realise that a lot of that illusion is held by the fact that there's editing and there's camera placement and stuff. And so when it's like, I've just come to see blah, 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 and then he's got to keep up he's like, fuck, I'm in character. Like, I can't just be Johnny Depp. I've got to be Jack Sparrow because I've done all the makeup and the costume and everything. And it's like, and he's still keeping it up. And it's like, mate, drop it, will you? It's a bit like you're lying to a cancer patient now. Essentially, it's like she knows you're not really a pirate. Like, come on, man.
Oh, I love how you framed that. That's so good. yes. You. Oh my god. So I think Chris Pratt's done a few as Star-Lord, hasn't he? And I think Chris Evans has done a few as Captain America.
Yeah, which is wonderful. And don't get me wrong, like they that's
liars.
Liars. But I don't think they actually really pretend to be Captain America. Like the kids are like, go on then, pick up that fridge.
Right, yeah, punch through that wall.
Whatever. Yeah, punch through that. But that's what I mean about the kind of like that's what Comic-Con's a bit like. It's like they stride in these amazing costumes, but then they do have to go for a shit at some point,
right? Exactly.
And they have to eat lunch,
they have to
it's
get
all
out
a
of their
bit
cardboard
mundane.
robot and have a dump. I did have I think I've told this before, but I say it again because it's another one, and it's when I was with my friend Kat, and we'd been to a kind of all-night event in Brixton, so we came back to King's Cross probably about 7 a.m. because it was just like there wasn't point in staying at anybody's. We stayed to the end of the music and then just go home. So we'd been drinking all night, so a bit worse for wear. We'd had our kind of McDonald's breakfast and a bottle of water and stuff. And I just go to her like, mate, I need a pee. I'm going to go to the toilet. This in King's Cross. So like I go down to the toilet, start having a pee, and just Spider-Man's just there, and I'm just kind of like, no, don't engage with this. And it's like Spider-Man's just there, and Spider-Man just won't go. And I'm just like, why is Spider-Man there? Don't talk to Spider-Man. Don't talk to Spider-Man. Don't talk to Spider-Man. So I finished up. I washed my hands. I walked out. And I just went, no, I'm not having this. And I walked back in, and I said, hey, Spider-Man, what are you doing here? And he goes like, oh, I'm just waiting for my brother. And then at that exact moment, a cubicle door opened, waft of shit, and Venom walked out. And I was just like, okay, this is amazing. This is the best. This is so good. Like, you don't even have to go. Just be in London when it happens and just watch all these things.
I love that waft of shit. We have to set the stage.
Venom's must be horrible black. I don't know. Just Venom. I would have hoped that suit would have taken care of that for you, but never mind. I guess not.
Have some sort of filtration system.
Oh god. This end credits montage includes people with like Ghostbusters t-shirts. I know like t-shirt scalpers are quick, but that's pretty impressive. No, just holding up printed t-shirts. Okay, I get it. You just come running down there, you know. Who'd you?
Yeah, because it is funny how like they have that real clear branding.
Yes.
Which is like, you know, I
think someone said that in the chat earlier. Like whoever like real life came up with that, you hope they're getting royalties still. You know what I mean? Because that's
right.
Such a beautifully. It's deceptively basic because it's not. You'd never would have thought of it yourself. Like, well, at least I wouldn't have. You know, and it's 2 or 3 pieces of block color. It's brilliant. It's such a brilliant piece of design.
I think as well like that because I mean. You saw more of that with corporate logos back in the day when not only were they limited in how they would produce such things and printing, but also, you know, you were limited in terms of the medium you could experience things on. So it was all very either low resolution, it was designed for sort of broadcast television or print, and that wasn't particularly clear. So it's kind of like that made you have to be way more distilled in how you and refined in terms of how you put, how you communicated a company image. And I think we still have that now. There is still that, good company logos and good branding is about brevity, as and I think that's one of those things. It's like, look at the thing you've just made, take something away, always take something away.
Yeah.
Say it.
Brevity is a soul of wit.
Well, yes, indeed. But I mean, when it comes to branding, it's just like, say it in as you did that with your Richard Jackson video thing. It was like you wanted a video cassette, but it's like less. Let's don't make it like highly detailed.
Yeah, take
VHS
away as
tape.
much. Definitely, because that was.
Yeah.
I've done a few. The Val Verde Broadcasting logo is another one I did myself, and I think the concept for Val Verde Broadcasting basically came from you in terms of aesthetic, and then I kind of ran with it, and it's like, okay, so I want a radio tower, but what at its essence, what is that? Because I looked at them, and that you could add like rivets and fence or whatever, and it's just like, well, and you could do it like a 4-pronged one. It's like, no, pyramid, and then the concentric circles at the top to show broadcast. Done. Then I'll beat it up, and you shouldn't go any more. And even that, I think the Broadcasting Tower, I still view it as a bit too detailed, actually.
But
I'm happy with it. I think it works very well. But I think more important, because I'm more about separating the VVB letters. It's just three, which really is a pre-existing font that I weathered. So it's kind of hard.
But it works. Yeah, no, it works. I think we're looking at starting something new very soon, and one thing I was sort of aware of, and I think the thing that works with Val Verde Broadcasting is the creating of a clear narrative. Like when you've got a word or a thing, it like, I think it's worked well for us with the channel, because it's like it projects, like everyone can kind of get an idea of what that's about, and then they can have other ideas themselves, and it's kind of idea inducing, and I think that's kind of what you want to do with a brand or a logo.
Yeah, I think so too. So I really enjoy doing kind of graphic design and logos and stuff. It's a film. I try to think of other films that, because it's something that's kind of lost. I think a lot of logos and stuff. Maybe it's starting to come back, but the last kind of 20 years, you wouldn't have because like Back to the Future, for example, is a kind of nostalgia movie, but that has that font, and you just know straight away. Star Wars had it. Star Trek less so, because it went through 9 different versions, but Star Wars is always wallop Star Wars, there's your Star Wars. Is it time for Star Wars? Sure, it's Star Wars. You can see the joined up letters with the yellow. It's Star Wars time, everyone.
Yeah.
There's a few, and then more recent films, it's just kind of like The Divide or whatever, and it's just white text, and it's like, okay, maybe that's not appropriate for that film.
Chris Nolan's guilty of that, I think. It's just like, in some sense, I know with the Batman films, he just did like the logo appearing in some sort of abstract way. But and then he was putting them at the end, wasn't he? It was just like,
yes, yeah, because
it's kind of like, all right, okay, which is, yeah. You're right. I do think there's a lot of that. There's a kind of just like, I don't know why. It's almost like letterheads. It's like headed paper almost. It's kind of like, well,
yeah. Well, you see as well, because they use them when they incorporate the production, don't they? So it's on all the cruise shirts and things, unless it's a fake ass name. It's on like the cruise shirts, and it's on the back of chairs, and it's in letterheads, actual letterheads and stuff, quite often. And I think it's a bit of a lost art, because I think a lot of that stuff's very iconic. Because I think I was able to. The Dawn of the Dead one is, if you know the font, it's quite easy to recreate. So when I did the poster for the Watch Party of the Weekend, I knew where to go, because I've done that before. I made my own Dawn of the Dead T-shirt once. Nice. It's quite easy. You just skew the edges once you know the font and how to doctor it, blah, 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 but it's instantly recognisable because it's that kind of stencil thing. I don't want to say it's a lost art, because I think I think it's coming back in a lot of ways. I think certain ones are doing that. Because Ghostbusters 2 does a very nice riff, on the original one.
Yeah,
it kind of works.
Yeah.
And they sort of just that's one of those things where it's in the film, and they changed the logo of the company to that, and it's like,
I was going to say, don't they put it on the yeah?
On the firehouse.
They do it.
What does that mean? What does that mean?
Yeah.
What does that mean?
There is a meta element to that film, in that they're sort of washed up and they're no longer relevant and all that. And there's a kind of I think that's quite cool. They're doing kids parties and stuff like that, and it's all kind of
man.
Yeah, yeah. And it's a comment on what became of it all. So I think that I like that. I do shows a bit of self-awareness, but yeah, like you say, goes a bit far by being like, like the sequel, and it's like the sequel to your business.
The sequel to your what? Whose idea? Who approved this? You got to wonder as well. They're such fucking tightwads. Who paid for that logo? Did poor Janine have to make it on a day off? Like, I can't see them getting
with a vacuum.
Yes. Yes, she moulds plastic on the side. That's her whole thing. She loves that. The rich world of Janine Melnitz and her plastic moulding. I think it does kind of, Ghostbusters 2 does have that kind of thing that Gremlins 2 and RoboCop 2 have, of here's a sequel specifically about how you shouldn't go back to the well. I think Ghostbusters 2 there's something about Ghostbusters 2 where it feels like it doesn't feel like the mind or the body is willing, perhaps. I mean, I still like it, but it just...
I think the thing with Ghostbusters 2, though, is you're dealing with commodification of people, and that's sort of baked into the cake a bit more, whereas with Ghostbusters, it was what happened after the first film. I mean, I suppose it's the same thing with RoboCop 2, actually, but I suppose it's just because of the nature of the subject matter. It's kind of, you can slip into that because it's a product, and you're talking about a product, and whereas with Ghostbusters, it's not.
I think it was a long few years.
It's a service.
It is, yes, it is. It's a service, a franchisable service. Val Verde Broadcasting is us, but I'm reading that out because it's at the top of the comment from Steve Allen. Steve Allen's had a lot of truck tonight. Well done, Steve. Richard, would you cast Duncan as Bernie in a Weekend at Bernie's horror reboot? I think like the idea, because that Freaky Friday reboot by Blumhouse looked quite cool, the one with Vince Vaughn. I was kind of like that. I'm quite down for that in theory. I think genre switching a Weekend at Bernie's. I think for poor Duncan though, it's not much of a prospect. The dead guy. You could just be a. I can't remember the actor's name. He was the guy who played H.G. Wells in Superman and Lois. The Dean Cain one. Do you remember H.G. Wells used to turn up in that?
Vaguely, yes. Yeah.
I'd struggle to sell that to Duncan, Stephen, because I think it's not much. I mean, I suppose if the money's right, if someone gave us like £10 million, we'd do it, wouldn't we?
I would be dead for that.
Yeah,
yes.
It's just saying to Duncan, two twats are going to drag you around. To be fair, I think it's in. I can't remember where it is. It's somewhere really nice and tropical. Some twats are going to drag you around a lovely tropical area for 2 hours, and that ergo you make money. You wear sunglasses. In the second one, you get turned into a kind of voodoo zombie that dances when music plays, that dances towards treasure when music plays. If anyone's unclear about the plot of Weekend at Bernie's 2, in which two men are also turned into a goat, really amps up. Weekend at Bernie's 2 really takes a few left turns over the first one, which is let's not let anyone know this man is dead, and the second one is like here's a dancing zombie and also someone's been turned into a goat. I do think they were struggling. I would struggle to conceptualise Weekend at Bernie's 2, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
I've not seen either of them, so that makes me boring.
Ivan and I had a tropical night back in November where we dressed up in tropical things. Oh, I showed you, and we put tropical lights all in the living room. And then we watched Weekend at Bernie's 1 and 2, so both on YouTube. And then we watched The Business with Danny Dyer. That's what we did. Because lockdown's hard and weird, and sometimes you've got to do weird things.
Sometimes you just have to be the change, Richard.
Right, precisely.
I think I'm slowly getting through things. Like I am watching Mandalorian season 2.
Oh, cool!
That's my proudest achievement. Close to the end. I think I've got 2 episodes left.
Oh, bro, are you enjoying it? You having a good time?
Yeah, loving it. I think it's great. Michael Biehn, obviously.
Yeah, that's cool when he turns up. Yeah, okay, I see. Yeah. Bill Burr, return of Bill Burr. I love his. Is he come back yet?
I haven't seen him yet.
You're in for a treat when he comes back. His episode is really good, really good.
I really like the kind of hero's quest of it. It seems to get, and it goes back to what I was saying earlier about having a clearly understand what needs to be clear is a character's humanity and what's going on. Like obviously the first Star Wars trilogy is a hero's journey. But all the characters are fairly well rounded. But it's obviously the relatable thing is Luke Skywalker on his quest for sort of purpose and everything, and then that's what's kind of lacking in all the others because you strip. Firstly, with the prequels, you strip that agency away because we know what happens to everyone more or less. you're just watching dots being joined up. And then in the newer trilogy, I don't think those characters are relatable because they don't really have. I suppose you could say like Rey wanting to know who her parents are is I guess something you can kind of glob onto in The Force Awakens. But then after that, when that's thrown out the window, it's like, what are we rooting for here? I don't understand, and it really loses its way with all that. But I think The Mandalorian has really, even though it's about a man whose face you never see apart from once, as far as I'm aware, unless you see it in the last 2 episodes of this.
I'm basically not going to say anything. I'd recommend not looking at the chat whilst you're talking about The Mandalorian as well.
Oh, okay, all right, fuck's sake. But I think it's got that kind of real. It's got that kind of serialized Western thing of like, he needs a thing right at the start of every episode. He needs a thing, and then it's like, but to get that thing, there's a big monster that needs your help, so you've got to go to a planet and slaughter, or slay the dragon essentially. And then and I so called when the guy who's wearing essentially the Boba Fett stuff.
Timothy Heffernum.
Tim Oliphant. I was like, just because the way the guy walked, I was like, that's Timothy.
Oh, really?
There's that sort of swaggly hips thing that's how he walks, and I was like, that's Timothy fucking Oliphant before he took his thing off.
He's fucking great, and he's good. He's Michael Biehn having a meaty part as well. I was just like, because I think I probably didn't text you when I watched that, but I think I really wanted to because of our kind of micro Bean fandom that we enjoy together.
Because we're basically his best mate.
We're pretty much,
We did sort of stare at him.
We've breathed his air. We've almost touched backs. Almost. I wanted to be like, I got to tell Duncan, but I can't tell Duncan.
No, you could have told me. I really liked that episode. I liked it. I don't think there's been one. I mean, and they zip by because aren't they like 40 odd minutes or something?
They're changeable, yeah. Sometimes they're sort of 27. Sometimes they're like 41. I think the last one's bumper as well. Because you can just do that on streaming now, can't you? It's like, is this long enough? Yeah. It's like, doesn't matter. We can do what we want. Woo!
Well, that's the beauty of it. You're not writing to crescendos every 10 minutes or so for commercial breaks, and you're also able to tell the story you want in whatever time you want, which I think is really cool.
I did see someone on Twitter complaining about these shows. They were complaining about WandaVision and The Mandalorian, and they said, it's just like a long film. It's just this long story broken up into pieces. Yeah, you've just invented television, mate. That's what that is. That's what you've done there. I see what you're saying, but you've just invented television serials, Baxton. But unfortunately, we've had those for a really long time. So
it's almost the equivalent of saying, "Wait a minute, this isn't real.
Those women were in the nip."
Yeah, those are fake hands. Just like,
when someone is so close, when they're so close. So close.
So do you understand? Like, art is short for artifice.
Yeah.
It's not real. That's the point. You blithering idiot.
Blithering idiot. It's excellent use of blithering idiot. I just saw. Wait, what was I? Oh yeah, Adrian Mendoza is asking what I've already asked you. Do you think you're gonna? I know your time is very precious at the moment. Do you think you'll get round to WandaVision at some point?
I would like to.
It's been fucking great, man. It's been so good.
I'll give it a go. And Disney are now bringing online the Fox stuff.
Finally,
they're introducing. Was it called Stars or something? Like they're bringing on a whole.
They're kind of compartmentalizing, like your diehards and your aliens and things like that within Disney Plus. Sam Duxbury, this is the most wholesome thing ever. Sam Duxbury just gave £3. It says, "Can Stephen Allen get a birthday shout?" Fuck. Well, sorry we missed you. Clearly that was me talking about the chat. Happy birthday, Stephen Allen. Thank you so much.
Happy birthday.
Look forward to your cheeseburger avatar every week on Val Verde chats. So happy birthday, my man.
Oh, and speaking of which, and I'm sorry I've only just remembered this, but Angelo's birthday as well.
Oh, was it?
Angelo. Yes, yeah. He sent me some stuff earlier. Yes, so very happy birthday to Mr. Angelo.
Get in touch, Angelo. We haven't played video games in a while. I have spoken. This is the way. Oh, you see, I'm doing the Mandalorian things like in a Star Wars. Hi, I'm John.
It's
Star
like
Wars.
with it. I'm trying to think. Well, I'm not watching stuff at the moment, which is really driving me up the wall. But
I know you're busy. You got shit to do, my man. I get that.
I essentially have every day. I have like 2 hours.
I can't stress enough that Duncan was fucking up at 5 a.m. for a meeting this morning by someone who didn't turn up, which is just infuriating.
Yeah, and I'm doing it again tomorrow morning as well.
When
because I was up this morning to speak to someone in San Diego, for whom it was late at night, and now I'm getting up extra early tomorrow, the previous day, and now I'm talking to someone in Australia for whom it is the following day or whatever weirdness, or the evening or whatever tomorrow. So it's like, I've lost the plot.
He's bless him, he's fried. Oh man!
I'm just working my arse off. It's like I think that's the problem at the moment. Is it's like there's just no let up. So everyone expects you to be available 24/7, and I have spent the best part of the last year just working, and so it's kind of like people are so used to me just being on hand, and it's.
I found that with clients quite a lot. I would, particularly my one big client who now no longer exists as an entity, basically, would, because I used to do anything for them because they were such a kind of big thing to my business. I would work through the weekend, bank holidays, whatever. Then of course they expected it, but that's what I set out for myself, and that was that. Petter Danielson's birthday was on Sunday. Happy birthday, Petter!
Happy birthday, Petter!
God damn,
smelling good.
Smelling, yeah. Dang. Man's got his good aftershave. Smelling good over
yes. Indeed. Yeah, there was but I am doing my best to try and get through all the new stuff, but it's very hard when it comes, so thick and fast, I suppose. But although, I don't know what new stuff is going to be available really at the moment.
It's kind of nice to work up a backlog of stuff. I think people live in a bit of a vacuum now, so it's not like you're going to have someone spoil it for you at work, being a kind of self-employed person as well. So, you get that. Oh, Adrian Mendoza, $5. Thanks, guys. I've had no water since Monday and have not showered and have been shitting in a trash bag. This live stream helped.
Helped what?
Cool. I hope you're okay. Is how yes. I hope you're all right, my man. I don't know whether to take that at face value or not. I'm going to for safety, in which case, please shit in a toilet and have a shower and look after yourself. I hope you're all right. It's very hard to know how to respond to that, Duncan. I don't really know what to do with it, completely honest. Yeah. Sometimes people say something like that, and it's a reference to a thing that goes over my head, and I reply honestly. I think it's the best thing you can do, really.
There isn't really a good way to, because if I go ha 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 ha, then
yes, if that's not a joke, Adrian, we really hope you're okay.
Yeah, he's in Texas. That doesn't help.
The snowstorms. The snowstorms, the ice. Shit, Adrian, Jesus Christ. Okay, everybody send your best to Adrian, because, that's fucked up, man. I didn't realise you were in Texas. I knew you were in the States. Adrian's in the middle of the ice storm zone, man. Shit. Yeah, so no running water. I get it. Okay. Right, take good. Sorry, we didn't know exactly what that meant. That's why, again, it's best to take it at face value and just get the details. Look after yourself, man, please. Be safe. And any other Texans.
I didn't know that was going on. It's weird. It's weird to think of Texas like that. You assume it to be this sort of barren.
Well, they're the people like every summer when people say like it's hot here. It's always the Texans that kind of go like, oh, you don't know what hot's like because they have it so hot all the time. And they've had this insane. I've seen pictures, man. I saw a picture of inside someone's flat, and it was a ceiling fan with like 6, 8, 9 inch long icicles hanging off of it.
Jeez.
Yeah, because of leaked through the ceiling. Insane.
Well, stay safe, my man. Stay safe.
Sean Northridge gave €5. Do you want to read that one?
Oh, I was staying out of the chat because you said.
I think it's safe now. It's safe now.
Okay, Sean Northridge said €5 if you're in Ireland, Southern Ireland. Duncan, I hope you're good. Sorry, Richard, I hope you're sane-ish. It's all relative, Sean. In Richard's case. Everyone else, rain, fire, and strike terror. I turned on 29. God help me, I need these streams. I think you turned 29. Don't be one of those people. Don't be one of those 20-something, Sean, who sees 30 on the horizon and thinks it means that everything's over. I'm old now. It's like, you're not old. That isn't old.
I'm 37, Sean. I'm 37 years old.
There's 7 iron.
I'm incontinent and I talk about spam and the war all the time. James Liddell just gave £4 £99. I made that a weird sentence. No message.
£4.99.
£4 and 99.
4 and 20 blackbirds. Why did they have to separate that? Anyway, just say 24.
They could have been a pastry wall,
Idiot.
4 and 1, 20 and the other. James Liddell, who is on Patreon and comments a lot and everything. So, hey, James.
Thank you
so much. Yeah, as Sam's saying, 30 is fine, obviously. Adrian Mendoza says, Richard, you're 37 with exclamation marks and question marks denoting surprise. Either he's being very kind or very cruel. I thought you were 80. Or I thought you were 20.
Unless you follow that up with, I thought you were at least, or I thought you were. So it doesn't really.
I complain enough. Fuck! Oh my god! Stephen was 30 this week. Stephen McCullough. Fuck! I saw it on Facebook. Stephen, I saw it on Facebook. I think I even liked it. Oh my god! Yeah, Stephen's birthday. Third big one for Stephen. Shit! Fuck! so many birthdays. I feel like a parent. A parent of a Catholic family in the 19th century, admittedly, but I feel like a parent.
Jesus.
Happy birthday, Steve. 30 years old. A man wise beyond his years. Wise and witty beyond his years, that one.
Indeed. I've realised I've started to look quite old now, but I think that's what happens when you become a parent. Like my daughter's quite vain, I suppose, because she loves looking at herself in the mirror. Right. It's quite. I don't want to be one of those guys who bores people with stories of their kids because it's fundamentally the same with everyone. But we did spend like a good few minutes just like grinning like idiots at each other in the mirror the other morning, and which I thought was quite sweet. But she like when I put her next to me and I go like into the mirror, I'm like, oh, there's all these like wrinkles. I look ancient. But then I am comparing myself to a 6-month-old newborn.
I mean, I do feel that. Remember when Troy McClure smiles and his face like crunches up?
No, it's not Troy McClure. That's the guy. It's the teen idol guy who gets out of the.
Oh yes,
in the thing, like the teen idol, Jan Jadwickson or whatever, and he just goes, and he's like 38 or whatever.
That's what I think when I see photos or video of me smiling and laughing. I see that just like it's around it's a crow's feet around the eyes, man. Like that's what does it.
It's character.
I'm alright with it. It's fine.
Because when I was younger, I always wanted to be older and look cooler and have a bit more character. You know, that was always my thing. I was like, damn, I want to be interesting to look at. I'm not interesting to look at enough, and now I'm like, slow the interest down.
Oh fuck! No, I'm happy with this. This is the best version of me so far.
I'm fine with it. And it always is. I think that's how you have to. I mean, you know, you're lucky to get to that age. Some people don't. Yeah. So
some people have a big willy tattooed on their face. That's not the best version of themselves. Well, unless they're happy, in which case carry on. It might be, yeah. In which case carry on. You could have a fanny, a bumhole. It doesn't have to be human anatomy. Let's not make it about gender. Whatever you want. Could be one on each side, some kind of combination. Who's to say? Ambiguous genitalia. All's welcome in the notional face tattoo club that I've just invented.
Gone down to some Alan Partridge style, like downward spiral.
Oh god, yeah. Well, that's what people tune in for, I think, mate. I think that's why they're here.
I guess.
What I like about today's stream is A, we barely talked about Ghostbusters, and B, at no point did we declare that the film is long over. As usually when the running time of the film ends, like people leave, but we've kind of maintained a steady number by pretending that Ghostbusters is 2 hours long when it's not, which is something we could perhaps learn for future streams. It just never ends. Like, never. Let's keep going.
I think it's good that it's short in a way. Like I think
I think it doesn't need more. It doesn't need an extended ghost blowjob scene or whatever the fuck Dan. It doesn't need like I don't know. His jacket being charged in a nuclear shoebox or whatever weird shit he fucking had. I don't know, whatever Aykroyd's all about, you know.
Joe Zilla says, I'm 38 and still hoping to dry out into Charles Bronson.
Nice.
There are so many people who look older than they really... Like, I was Chris Reeve we were talking about earlier. I always thought he actually looked a lot older than he was.
Wasn't he?
Even though he had a youthful energy.
Was he in Superman? Isn't he like 24?
I think he's 24.
He's really young. Because he's someone who had that... I think and one of the reasons he worked so well as Superman is because he had wisdom beyond his years. I think he seemed to, and he was a man out of time. Clark Kent was a man out of time, because he was a 1940s Max Fleischer kind of Kansas doofus, but he just 24, man, it's crazy, isn't it? But because he towers over you so much as a child, he's such a kind of iconoclast to you as a child. You just kind of... I remember as a kid, actually, I remember like interactions with adults, like adults who seemed kind of cool. You realise now they were like 20 and they didn't know shit. You know what I mean? Because you were 10, but they might as well have been a tree or a statue compared to you. Because, you know, there's that kind of drop off in terms of how you age and stuff.
I know, it is weird when you get into that age bracket of like your peers essentially are kind of, or people younger than you are kind of, it's hard. I mean, you sort of, certainly in the acting game, it's like, obviously you can be an actor at any age because that's how characters work, right? You need characters of all ages to populate stories usually. So, so I get that, and so it's never really over. I think there's a lot of, again, this is the folly of youth, but you start out and go, if I haven't made it by the time I'm 26, it's all over, and it's like, you're a fucking idiot. What do you know? You know shit. And it's not even...
Alan Rickman was 40 when he did Die Hard, right? And he already had a bit of a
career. Oh yeah, God, yeah. And it's like, and if all the people you look up to, you really realise, like, I mean, apart from the dynasty actors who were going to do it anyway, and apart from the odd child star, what got lucky, very few people actually, who are going to have to do it your way, because guess what? You're not connected. You're going to have to just slog at it for decades, But yeah, Alan Rickman, Morgan Freeman, there's endless.
I need to talk about a comment real quick. I need to talk about a comment, okay? I need to talk about Sam Duxbury's comment. It's one of the most cutting things I've ever seen in the chat. I look like Richard, sad face. Like, there's a single line poem, like a single line assassination of a person. I look like them, sad face. I don't know what to do with that, Sam. I'm not going to push back. I don't have that kind of, that's not in my nature. But I really don't know what to do. Like it's a curse.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I do sort of want it on a t-shirt a little bit, to be fair.
Steve Allen asked if Christian Bale was 28 when he did Batman Begins. No, I don't think so. He was like in his mid-30s,
I think he was like 32 or something. He's younger than Robert Pattinson. Yeah. He's younger than Robert Pattinson was when he took over the role, because Robert Pattinson's like 34. I think Bale was like 32 or something.
Yeah.
I believe.
Okay. Yeah.
Richard looks like older Fry, says Mr. HEC 381901. That's on my Instagram. I did a graphic for you, Mr. HEC. If you go to my Instagram page, you can see I did a handy table, because when I was young, I looked really like young Fry, and now I look like Lars? I look like old Fry. So I'm a Fry for all seasons. You can go check out my Instagram, mate. Them's the facts. It's just,
Mike Boyal says I look like Duncan, only not a tracker.
I think we get where you meant, mate.
Not a Tracy.
That's a Tracy.
Well,
Sam Duxbury's upgraded me to Richard looks like a young me. Okay, that's fine. I'll take that. It's an upgrade. I'll have it. Joe Zilla. Instead of thinner, the gypsy whispers Richard. Stephen King's Richard.
That's so unfair. Stephen King's Richard Jackson. That's so mean, but brilliant.
No, I love it. I fucking love it. Okay, here we go. Richard looks like the Scotsman from Samurai Jack. I will take that all day long. And Duncan looks like George Clooney's tired younger brother who's had a kid. There you go.
I guess I'll take that. Thank you.
Oh my god, fucking hell. I'm loving this sort of micro roast that's going on in the chat. That's fucking brilliant.
Yeah, keep them coming.
Keep them coming. Yeah. It's good times. It's like I remember that. I don't know who was here, but we did on the Day of the Dead watch party. We tried to see how many downvotes we could get on the video. Like watch the live up.
Then everyone just went and put them back to likes. That was hilarious.
Oh my god.
That was brilliant.
Oh wait.
That was really good.
Oh my god. Yeah. Oh, good times. Well, should we perhaps we should sign off soon, because I know you've got another early start tomorrow. We're getting up for 9:30. Getting up to 9:30. Is that sound okay? So a bit of a condensed stream, guys. We have schedules real live at the moment, which is a bit rubbish. Imagine that. But Sam, our moderator Sam has said, right, you're all going in timeout. I'm kicking you all out. Sam's gonna ban everybody. Good work, Sam. Sam's singing for his supper there.
That's it.
His non-existent supper that we don't provide, but you know what I mean.
We don't provide catering.
Richard looks. Okay, we might have a winner. Captain Meat's Adventures.
Shall I read it?
Can you see it?
Richard looks like an unkept bedroom in a sad nan's house. Sad nan's house.
Oh fuck! I wish I was like. I wish I was a film poster so these things could be written on it. Oh my god.
Mr. HEC has a weird one. I don't. Just as Duncan and Richard look like Venus and Serena Williams.
I mean, I appreciate the abstract approach.
Yes. I mean, that's just two other people.
Can confirm they are human beings. Yes, that's. I mean, you're in that ballpark. Yeah.
I want to condense it down a little bit.
Focus the beam a smidge and bring it down. That's a 2 in 7 billion type situation, but okay. Sad Nan's House sounds like something you get food from, says Stephen Allen. Sad Nan's House sounds like an introspective indie band to me.
It does, yeah.
There you go. Yeah. Okay. Right. Let's do it. Let's do it. Time to go. I've had still laughing over the Sad Nan's House. Yeah, so we're going to sign off, guys. Thank you so much for streaming. Bit of a brief one tonight, but we'll return as usual with something next. Not sure what, but you know, you can vote for it on Patreon. Do consider supporting us on Patreon if you enjoy this kind of lark, and thank you all for contributing and for just coming as well. Just being here is a big deal. Liking and subscribing is a big deal. Just watching is a big deal.
But with Patreon, I have gotten Martin to agree to do a live watch along of Wicked Witches with us, so that will be a Patreon exclusive soon. I haven't got a date for that yet, but I will let you know. I'm gonna sort that out with him. So yeah, get over to Patreon if you haven't already, and if you can, obviously we understand it's not always possible, but we really appreciate the support over there. That's really really helped us through everything. So yes. Duncan looks like a dirty fridge in a broken down ice cream van in Wigan. I'll take it.
I love it. I love it. It's not as abstract as Venus and Serena Williams, but I fucking don't take it. Right. Here it comes. Here come the credits. We love you. We'll see you soon. Tatty boy.
Take care, everyone.
Partia